And there we go on this Friday morning, May 23rd. Welcome to the program live from Lake Wissota here in beautiful Chippewa Falls, home of the Todd Alba Show later today. But first, we're going to do our own show here, live from Chippewa Falls. Let's see, what are we going to cover today? Oh, yeah, that big, beautiful bill that passed. It is such a massive giveaway to the super wealthy. It's even worse than you thought. And again, it was only after the bill passed that more people are figuring out what the hell is wrong with it. So we'll be jumping into all of that. We'll talk about it with our week in review panel. We'll also, with them, because two of them have been in the news business for a long time, talk about a nightmare scenario for a Chicago newspaper that trusted AI to produce a particular feature for their newspaper, and it went horribly wrong. Dr. Kristin Lyerly will be here. It's always fun and games with her until we say we need to get serious for a minute, and we are going to get serious with her about a couple of conditions that take place during pregnancy. And she, being an OBGYN, will tell us a bit more about that. We will wrap up our second round of interviews with the candidates for state Democratic Party chair with William Garcia. And if you watched me anchor the news back in the day, be prepared to feel very old. I'll just leave that hanging there and tell you that this program gets started at 6:06 all across the Civic Media Radio Network and right here. We'll see you in 4 minutes and 17 seconds.
Live across Wisconsin on Civic Media, you're listening to Mornings with Pat Kreitlow, powered by Up North News. Now, from our Lake Wissota studio, here is the founding editor of Up North News, Pat Kreitlow.
Well, hey there, Wisconsin. Good morning. It is 6:06 on this Friday morning, May 23rd. We've made it to Memorial Day weekend 2025, and it's a beautiful morning to have you here up north, live from Lake Wissota, from wherever you're spending your mornings with the Civic Media Radio Network, app, social media, pod, however you do it. Thanks for starting your day and ending your week right here. I got a question for you. What is the biggest weather mistake you can make this time of year? The biggest weather mistake. And take the severe weather out of it. This is a lighthearted question. It is leaving the window open overnight when it gets warm by day, but it can still get pretty cold overnight. And this home office here up in Chippewa Falls was a very chilly place this morning. But, you know, it was worth it to have the windows open and get the lawn mowed yesterday and have some gorgeous weather heading into the weekend. Not as warm as I'm sure most of us would like, but sunny is better than stormy, so I will take that. We'll talk more about the weather in just a second. Coming up on the program today, the House Republican tax bill is already getting, of course, a lot of attention for being a massive giveaway to the super wealthy, but the package is even worse than advertised, though much of its impact wasn't learned until after it passed because the process was so rushed. We'll get some more tidbits about all of the sludge that's in there from Courier Newsroom's Keya, Vakil. Also, in a few minutes, I will play a quote from Ron Johnson about the House bill and why Ron Johnson doesn't like it. And then I'm going to laugh at him. There's been a lot of discussions in newsrooms about how artificial intelligence can either supplement news reporting or undermine its credibility. And our Week in Review panel includes a couple of veteran Chicago journalists, so we're going to discuss, along with many other things, how a Chicago newspaper learned the hard way just how badly AI can be set up to report stories that seem to be written by humans, only to discover the published product was an embarrassing work of fiction. Thanks, robots. Dr. Kristin Lyerly will join us later this morning, and on Fridays, along with, fun and games, we will try to get in a little health news as well. And we're going to talk about preeclampsia, a condition during pregnancy that can lead to high blood pressure and serious impacts to mother and baby, and find out what it is that pregnant women, moms-to-be, need to know to take care of their health and avoid that very serious condition. We are going to wrap up our second round of interviews with the candidates for State Democratic Party Chair. William Garcia will be here in our 8 o'clock hour. And for folks who used to watch me anchor the news in Eau Claire back in the day, as they like to say, be prepared to hear something that's going to make you feel a little older very soon. Stick around for that as well. Temperatures around the state look like this. It's 40 here in Chippewa Falls. In Hayward right now, it is 28 degrees. Amory's at 39, Wausau 38. In Wisconsin Rapids, it's 40. La Crosse 43, Green Bay 42, Madison 45. It's 44 degrees in Radio Park. So 45 in Madison, where we find Parker Olson, 44 degrees at Radio Park, where we find Greg Bach. Gentlemen, good morning. Happy Friday.
Good morning, folks.
How's Mr. Bach this morning?
I'm doing fine.
This has not been your it's been a week of, and I'm in the same boat, but mine's jet lag, where it's been a tiring week. And I am just so bursting with happiness that we're heading into this 3-day holiday weekend here.
Oh, that's right. That's happening too. Oh.
Yeah. Yes. Except for that one thing, and I think I mentioned it yesterday, is that we will have some pre-recorded programming on Monday because of the holiday. But it means you got to cram it in. So today is do this show, and then finish preparing Monday's show, and then write the weekend newsletter that's got to go out from Courier Newsroom on Sunday, and that. And Todd Alba shows up on my doorstep anytime now because he's going to do his show from my back deck with the view of Lake Wissota behind us here. So Todd Alba's show is live from Pat's place, 2 to 4 o'clock today. Greg, what could possibly go wrong?
I'm so happy I don't run that show. I'm gonna take my stuff and get and go.
Parker, where would you? I mean, right now you're still getting settled into things, right? So but have you got a friend that you can imagine? You love my friend, but if he were to suddenly bring his or her workplace to you, you wince at the thought of the chaos that's about to ensue.
That would be most of my friends. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah, exactly. So, which is why it's Friday. I've got the Roy Kent mug for the coffee today. Again, just to remind me that. Whistle! There we go. Somebody who can say the things that I can't on a radio program. Mr. Bach, whether it's Laughing Tap or just life in general in Southeast Wisconsin, what are you doing this weekend?
Oh God, what am I doing this weekend? Oh, we got 3 shows at the Laughing Tap. We've got Nick Vatterott, who is an amazing. He has got what I would argue the greatest Conan set I've ever seen in my life.
Ooh,
yeah, and he is a writer and a comedian. He's written for tons of TV shows. He wrote for Real Time with Bill Maher, which, but Nick is
Wow.
Nick is a well. I don't like Bill Maher. Nick is a singular mind. No one sounds like him. No one talks the way he does on stage. He's just a wacky and artistic and a sweet man. One day when I have more time, I will tell you the story of how I met Nick Vatterott, and it was all my fault, and I apologized. But we got those shows coming up, and then Sunday, nothing really, and then hopefully Monday, even more nothing. So
even more nothing.
I don't generally get. I mean, this isn't an appeal for friends, but I don't really get invited to a lot of cookouts for Memorial Day. I don't go to them.
Yeah.
I'm such a homebody. I'm never happier than when I'm just at home.
Oh, yeah.
Hopefully that will be the thing.
Again, you're working like 6 jobs here. So, yes, any moment of peace that you can get. Mr. Olson, yourself?
Saturday, I'm heading back down to Whitewater. I'm going to be calling a baseball game, super regional. Yeah.
Okay.
Whitewater versus Oshkosh. Dom and I are going to be having a rivalry this weekend. I'm excited about it.
Oshkosh versus Whitewater.
Oh,
Yes.
that's right. No, you didn't go to school together, but okay.
I went to Whitewater. Dom went to Oshkosh.
That's right. You're the fighting Whitewater Whales, and he is the fighting
the Waves.
Chocolate eclairs.
That's it. Yes.
Ooh,
No. That's the Blue Golds. The eclairs. Isn't that Eau Claire?
They're the fighting chocolate eclairs.
Okay. From Oshkosh?
They're the fighting O's.
The Fighting O's.
Also known as the Fighting Zeros.
Yeah. Oh, no. The Oshkosh folks do not want to hear that. Let's move over to Brittany Merlot's forecast for the state today, noting that high pressure has settled in. It has steered the rain away. There's a lot of rain out there in parts of the country, and we've got this high pressure system steering it away, keeping our skies clear. But the downside of that is we're going to have below average temperatures again today, partly sunny, cooler than normal. Highs today in the upper 50s only up north, mid 60s in the south. And we still have that north wind at 10 to 20 miles an hour. For tonight, chilly with a few clouds. Another chance of frost up north. And lows tonight in the mid 30s north to the low 40s in the southern part of the state. Still that north wind, 5 to 15 miles an hour. Along the way, if you would like to join the show, 855-75-CIVIC is the number to call or text us, 855-75-CIVIC. You can also use that Civic Media app, and I'm going to have to change my on-screen reference to 855-75-CIVIC call or text through the app, because now through the app, you can leave us a voice note as well. And, if we see it, like it, blah, 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 we'll pop it up, and folks can hear your hot take on the radio of what you've got to say. It might be something serious about the news. It might be, your 2 cents on one of the other topics that we've got going on. So go ahead and use it. Start to send us voice notes through the app. And of course, the usual way through social media, the comment section, the Up North News Facebook page, the Up North News YouTube page, the Civic Media Facebook page, and the Civic Media YouTube page are the 4 places where you can watch this show as we put it on and put up your comments. In terms of weather mistakes, Cassandra says this time of year, leaving the car windows open and a pop-up rain comes in. I am very guilty of that, including, again, having this Jeep Wrangler and leaving the top down. And it was literally a pop-up thunderstorm There was nothing on the radar, and it was one of those times where you look at the radar and it's like, wait, suddenly there's this green, red, yellow blob, and we're sitting at a place, and suddenly we're like, the skies are getting dark, and you're thinking, well, maybe we'll get a sprinkle or two, and it just downpours. And I had a Jeep with 1 to 2 inches of water in it by the time all was said and done. So a little bit more than leaving your window cracked open, but it is the kind of thing that you don't want to do. So
Yeah.
let's see. This is not, you guys, it won't matter, but I put up a Facebook post last night, but this is for people who watched me anchoring the news at Channel 13 for those many years. And I still, obviously, people still recognize, and that's great. It's a great honor to be welcomed into people's living rooms, night after night. I love doing the radio thing now, but people still bring up the thing at Channel 13, anchoring the 6 and 10 for all those years. And put up a post yesterday. Usually I'm the one grousing about feeling old. Now I'm going to do the same for you. My last day at TV 13 was 20 years ago yesterday. I've been gone from the TV station for 20 years. I was only there for 9. And so it's got some staying power, which is true. But yeah, 20 years that I've been free and clear of the TV station. And yet my co-anchor, Judy, still there. Judy Clark, God bless her. She's now a WBA local legend. Bob Gallagher is still there. So many other folks behind the scenes still there. Tom Benson just retired from there after years and years and years of service, starting when he was like 12 years old. So I'm happy for all of them. But I got to say, 20 years away from, that job, I've been able to do a lot of fun things. Like you guys. You guys are the next fun thing. So thank you for being there.
I haven't already been fun.
Well, you're like the preface, you're and then Parker came on board, and now it's like we're writing the next chapter here.
Oh, I see.
Yeah,
I see. Oh, I'm old now too.
Well, yeah, that was my whole point. Is now people feel a little bit older.
I am just incensed.
Pat, I was 2 when you stopped working on TV.
What, you were 2? Yeah. See, that's what I get all the time now is people come up and they go, "Oh, were you on TV?" I'm like, "Yeah." And then I go, "Don't say it." And then they go, "I watched you when I was a little kid." I'm like, "Great. Thanks so much for that. Appreciate it." Yikes. This is the point where I normally tell you how the Brewers did last night. And it occurs to me, remember, Greg, I was saying right before the show, I feel like I'm forgetting something. Yeah, the Brewers were in a rain delay when I went to sleep. So
they still have those because some people are dumb and don't have domes.
That's exactly it. So let's learn together here. Here we go with seconds to spare. He calls up from the Associated Press. Christian Yelich homered twice, and the Milwaukee Brewers hold off the Pirates after a long rain delay. Brewers win 8-5.
Oh boy, we beat the Pirates.
Yeah.
Now, because it was 8-5, it means the Pirates didn't break the record. They are tied for the record of having 4 runs or less in the most games in a row, like 24 games in a row. Not a powerhouse team, boys and girls, but
don't you just love baseball and their weird stats?
I know. I love it. But the Brewers win, and that's what counts. From the heart of America's up north, live from Lake Wissota, thank you for making this the place to spend part of your mornings. I'm Pat Kreitlow, and this is the Civic Media Radio Network. And now, because Greg is already surly here in the secret show, let's go to the comment section, boys and girls. From Jim, I love waking up knowing Trump is still president. Mega!
Jim, that's just a weird thing to say, because in all of my years living, like, I didn't wake up going, I'm really glad that Barack Obama is still president. It just woke up me like, him still being president was just a given unless something tragic happened. So, okay, Jimmy, that's cool. Whatever.
Yep, I know. But hey, cult. Rodney, what a bunch of libtards. Hey, we have our first libtard of the day.
What did we say? Did you say, like, we were talking about the rain, cars, baseball, and like just like literally, what did we say?
Oh, I said something about Trump's tax bill is even worse than people think.
Oh, so. I wasn't listening. Okay.
Just out of the blue.
And thank you, Ted. 20 years, Pat. You're making me feel old. Miss you, but glad I found you again on the radio. Thank you.
Oh, that's very nice.
See, boys and girls. Hey, Jim. Hey, Rodney. Everybody. This is what the comment section is for. A nice dialogue between friends and neighbors.
and giving
maybe,
Pat compliments.
well, and maybe having a disagreement, asking a question rather than a bunch of libtards. And so Cassandra says, they must own the libs. It's their only joy in life. And Alicia puts in, they say we trigger easy. Yeah, amen to that, Alicia.
Some say it's their entire identity, but what do I know? Parker, I just want to give you not an assignment, but you believe in doing research and being prepared, right?
I would like to. Yeah.
Okay. I just would like you, before we go back today or sometime this weekend, maybe even next week, just go on YouTube and type in Pat Kreitlow 1982 weather and just watch and enjoy.
No, I'm writing that down right now. That sounds exciting.
Look at that. It's 30 seconds left of the
secret show.
Gotta go.
Uh-oh.
Bye. Welcome back on this Friday morning, 6:23 right now. Keya Vakil coming up in, 15 minutes or less here. Let's see, talked about 20 years since I left TV 13, and Roger from Stevens Point puts on Facebook, speaking of last days delivering news on TV, this is Bill Jartz's last week at WBAY in Green Bay. That's right. And so congratulations to him on a very long and respected career, too. Head over to our website, upnorthnews.wi.com. Sign up for our Unabashedly Wisconsin newsletter there. And today, Kristin Lyerly is writing all about Wisconsin's wine scene. There are many wineries and vineyards and other places to enjoy a glass of, rosé or Chardonnay or whatever your preference is. So learn about that as one of the options in our daily newsletter. There's also our weekend newsletter that I mentioned I'll be putting together later today, coming out Sunday morning to folks to wrap up the week in Wisconsin politics. Obviously, that includes a lot of reaction to the Trump budget that passed the House of Representatives yesterday. There's appeals court judge Chris Taylor getting into the Supreme Court race. There's Derek Van Orden calling for canceling spring elections because for Derek Van Orden, what will help him is less democracy. And let's see, what else do we have going on here? Oh, yes, of course, I asked last week from my trip to Portugal and the election with 10 parties, what's the right number of parties that we should have in this country? Do we just need one valid third party? Do we need a fourth? Do we need 5 or more? And so we'll have some of those responses in our weekend newsletter. Sign up again over at upnorthnewswi.com. And over on our website right now as well, getting set for Memorial Day weekend, everything you wanted to know about brats, including this little tidbit, prepare to be dazzled, Greg and Parker. The number of countries where you can find Johnsonville brats is roughly equal to the number of people in Johnsonville, Wisconsin. Is your mind blown? No, I know.
Wait,
say silence.
Say that again. It is
the number of countries where you can find Johnsonville brats is roughly equal to the number of people in Johnsonville, Wisconsin, which always begs the question, is Johnsonville a real thing? Johnsonville brats. Exactly. I'm like, aren't they from Sheboygan? Well, yeah, but Johnsonville is a little community just outside of Sheboygan, the hometown of the guy that started Johnsonville brats. He named him after the little town, home of about 45 people. And you can get Johnsonville brats in about 45 countries around the United States.
I feel like I picked the wrong music for that, the way you were spinning it. Like now you're like doubting the legitimacy of the neighborhood and it should have been
There we go.
Yeah.
Are Johnsonville brats even a thing, man? Are they even real? What's real?
I'll tell you what's real. Johnsonville brats, you simmer those things in beer for a while and throw them on the grill. Charcoal, of course, people.
All right. Settle down, Grandpa.
Oh, man. I'm already hungry thinking about it. This is great. All right. Well, let's talk about that Republican tax bill that passed the House of Representatives yesterday, only long enough to get reaction from one of the Republicans in the U.S. Senate. Wisconsin's own Ron Johnson. Because here's the thing. Let me set the scene for you. This is not any kind of a fiscally responsible bill. All right? Let me say that from the get-go. It's calling for $1 trillion in spending cuts. And you could say, okay, well, that's fine. If that gives $1 trillion in tax cuts, then maybe you can make some kind of an equivalency argument. But it doesn't do that. It's $1 trillion in cuts, but about $3.5 trillion in tax giveaways targeted toward the very wealthy. So that's adding to the deficit. The people that love to talk to you about Democrats engaged in deficit spending, and they talk about being deficit hawks. This thing is anything but. It was described as spending like a drunken sailor who just won the lottery. So here's Ron Johnson. In this case, you could almost agree with him as he says why he would never support this thing because it goes against Republican orthodoxy of the past 40 years.
I'm concerned about my children, my grandchildren, and the fact that we are stealing from them. We are stealing from our children and grandchildren. $37 trillion in debt, and we're going to add to it as Republicans? That is unacceptable. And that's why there's no way I'm going to vote for this bill in its current form.
So, couple of things here. First off, the stealing from your children and grandchildren. Stop it. Nobody believes you because the last tax bill, the one that you had your fingerprints all over, Ron Johnson, blew up the deficit by $2 trillion. $2 trillion. So now your line in the sand is one that blows up the deficit another $4 trillion. You're not exactly winning any credibility contest there. So he says, I'm not going to vote for this thing. No, he's not going to vote for this thing. The Senate is going to craft it how it likes. And the question is whether Ron Johnson puts more stuff into it that's good for him the way he did back in 2017. But this whole notion of stealing from your children and grandchildren, come on. What are we doing here if you get away with something like that? We talked yesterday to Sean O'Malley in our 8 o'clock hour about the uncertainty that has already been caused in the markets by Trump's trade wars and these unnecessary tariffs. But now you add in the uncertainty about this budget bill and blowing up the deficit. And, well, you see why the bond markets, again, cratered earlier this week. So Ron Johnson, against a bill, says it's too much of a deficit. We agree on that much. It's a matter of how do you equal things out? One could argue that you could instead try to grow the economy. By growing the economy, you would bring in more revenue. You don't grow the economy through massive layoffs and cuts in services that make more people reliant on charity rather than having a job. Well, let's see if the Senate figures that out sometime in the next few weeks or whatever it takes. We'll talk more about this with Courier Newsroom national correspondent Keya Vakil in just a bit here. First, thanks for spending some time here as part of your mornings, powered by Up North News. We will have more live from Chippewa Falls after the Midwest Farm Report here on the Civic Media Radio Network. I'm Pat Kreitlow. I didn't have time to go back to Alicia here on the grilling. Pshaw, a Blackstone is the way to go.
Pat, when do you want to do Free Ticket Friday?
I thought that was a 7 o'clock hour thing.
Nope, it's a you thing.
It's a me thing?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
All right.
It's your show, man.
Well,
we do it during every show.
Okay, I thought it was like the text to win things at 7:06. So that's on me. So
well, no, all you do is you do it now, and then for the rest of the show, it's the same word, and you just can mention it throughout. So
okay, all right, sounds good. I'll chat you a little answer here in a minute.
Okay.
Welcome back on this Friday morning, 6:35 the time now, where we check in with Courier Newsroom national correspondent Keya Vakil and the other 18 titles that I forget now, but we'll go with the tried and true. Keya, how's it going?
Yeah. Going all right, Pat. Scrambling to cover all the news that is fit to print, as they say. But it's going all right.
I have to ask just your opinion. We saw the division among House Republicans, among those who thought this doesn't even cut enough yet.
Yeah.
And it was going to be a big black eye for Mike Johnson and for Donald Trump. And they did it with one vote to spare.
Mm-hmm.
What's the level of surprise on that they actually did get something done?
I'm not particularly surprised. Republicans, one of the only policy priorities they have is tax cuts for corporations and super rich people. That is, and making poor people suffer more. Sorry to put it so bluntly, but when you pass a bill that is going to take Medicaid away from almost 8 million people, and the Affordable Care Act away from several million more, and take food away from several million more, and take all sorts of stuff away from several million more, I don't know how you defend yourself as a fighter of the working class. So the odds were always high. They care about tax cuts. That's more or less it. The Freedom Caucus, for all their posturing and insistence that we must cut deficits, they fold every single time.
They work so hard to get through with just that one vote to spare, fully aware it's got to go over to the Senate, where Republicans over there are not necessarily on the same page at all.
Yeah, I think the most likely outcome is you'll see some changes to this bill. I don't know what those changes will be. It'll still be a terrible bill, but there's a lot of Republicans who don't want to cut Pell Grants, which this bill does. There's a lot of Republicans who don't want to cut certain student loan programs, which this bill does. There's a lot of Republicans weary of making such major cuts to Medicaid, which this bill does. On and on and on. So do I think they'll ultimately still pass something? I do. And the reason for that is not because I think they are all in unanimous agreement. It's because of what we saw this week, where, if there is division, all that has to happen is the leader of the House or the Republican calls in Donald Trump, and Donald Trump essentially browbeats them into voting for it, because it is ultimately not a party of beliefs or ideologies or values anymore. It's a party of fealty to Donald Trump.
Without a doubt. And I mean, if you don't believe us, believe that big golden plane that he took this week from Qatar, which is allegedly going to be Air Force One, but we'll maybe get back to that before the segment's all done here. But let's keep it to the bill. And again, learning what's in there. And I'll bet a couple of things that you've said already have caught people by surprise, like Pell Grants. We were internally, all of us on the political staff, moving things back and forth in terms of, oh gosh, this is in the bill and that's in the bill. It's going to make college more expensive, or it's going to increase the cost of student loans. It's going to increase tax filing costs. You shared one with me that said it eliminates grad plus loans, which allow grad students to cover the full cost of attendance. What's that going to do to law schools and med schools and all the other graduate programs out there, Keya?
It's going to destroy them, because essentially the way the student loan program works is, and this would theoretically go into effect for the 2026-2027 school year. But essentially what this would do is, make it so that you can no longer get the amount of loans to cover your full cost of tuition. When you're in med school, that can be like $100,000 a year. So tough luck. You essentially then just have to either not go to med school, or go take out a really rapacious private loan that's super predatory and that can exploit you with crazy interest rates. So what it's going to mean is a lot less people go to med school, a lot less people go to law school, a lot less people go to grad school. And we know that Republicans don't particularly care about academia, but you would think they'd care about having a workforce of doctors and nurses, and certain lawyers, and other highly educated fields, engineers, psychologists, addiction counselors, et cetera, a lot of which require master's degrees. But this bill suggests otherwise. It just suggests they could not care less.
So then we take it to the local level, and that, of course, is what all the Courier newsroom outlets are doing, Up North News and the others, and you and other folks on the national team look at all these local stories as they come through. So I'm just curious, as you've looked through, more than 10 state newsrooms coverage, are there things that some of the individual states are bringing up that really catch your attention?
Yeah, I mean, I think obviously the one of the big ones is Medicaid. A lot of states have recently seen their Medicaid rolls grow because they passed expansion, whether it's Virginia or North Carolina. This is something that Wisconsin, I think, famously has yet to do.
Yep.
But passing an expansion under the Affordable Care Act, while this bill the House passed does not, undo Medicaid expansion or threaten it, it still has, measures in it that will cause some of those people to lose coverage. It has work requirements for quote unquote able-bodied adults. It has bureaucratic, paperwork, red tape hurdles that it creates. And, our Virginia reporter was at an event yesterday where a mom whose adult daughter who has cancer is on Medicaid right now. And, we saw that she said, if her daughter lost coverage, she would not be able to get her cancer treatment. And so that's terrifying and appalling. And, we're seeing things obviously in California, which is not one of our states. They're repealing this, California's ability to set its own emission standards to protect the environment. There's a lot of stuff that I think is going to affect hunger. In Nevada, we're seeing a lot of issues with hunger already, as federal cuts have taken place and food banks get less grant funding and costs go up and families are struggling. Stripping a couple $100 billion from the SNAP program, which, some people might better know as food stamps, is going to make that worse. You're taking the hungriest, poorest people in America and essentially telling them to go to hell. And so, if people can't eat food, what happens? And so, yeah, we're seeing a lot of really kind of devastating local angles on this.
Yeah, I mean, one of the areas that you've seen pushback, and again, maybe it was just all talk, but Republicans who saw how repealing provisions of the Inflation Reduction Act was going to kill clean energy jobs in their state. And again, without having all the details in front of me, I got the impression that Republican leadership did backtrack on some of that to win back some of those Republican votes. But it seemed like the clearest example where Republicans looked at this bill and said, oh, wait a minute, there's going to be a cost to my district, the jobs that are going to get lost there. So, I mean, it's not like this is only going to hurt blue districts or blue states.
No. And there's a lot of quote unquote moderate swing district, a lot of Republicans who did not like a lot of what was in this bill, but voted for it anyway because they can't dare to oppose Trump. There's a lot of provisions of clean energy jobs in Republican districts, in swing districts, in red states that people are going to lose their jobs. Companies are going to go under. People are going to have invested in things that they're no longer going to benefit from as a result of this bill. And a lot of those Republicans who made hay about this for months just folded. They watered down some of the provisions, but at the end of the day, this does undo a decent chunk of the Inflation Reduction Act. And what you're going to see is a lot of, essentially regression. We're going to undo the major investments we've made in clean energy to try to protect our climate, our environment, and our kids' future. And instead, we're going to keep funneling money to oil companies and gas companies and subsidize their work in the billions of dollars, hundreds of billions. And, it's just a big fat check to fossil fuels. And those moderate Republicans, the only justice there is they will lose their jobs next November in a lot of places, and they deserve that. And they deserve to never again represent the public because they lied to their constituents, they lied to their voters, they're taking their health care away, they're taking some of their food away, and they are making their environment way more polluted.
And Democrats in the House, certainly during the final debate and across the country, are echoing some of the things that you've said, that essentially they're enjoy the moment now because it's not going to last. And look, I'm not measuring the drapes for Hakeem Jeffries in the Speaker's office, but I know other people, who would do that, looking at this and saying, Well, you guys got your win today. You're winning the battle, but in terms of the war for 2026, it's hard to see how the general public eventually welcomes all of these cuts for tax cuts for the wealthy as a good thing.
No, and here's the thing. It's like if you wanted to try to, this bill doesn't even cut taxes for like working class people or ordinary people. It cuts taxes for the rich and for corporations. Traditionally, Republicans at least sneak in something, oh, that'll give, most families like, a $500, an $800, $200, $1,000 tax cut, while they give billionaires like hundreds of thousands, millions of dollars in cuts. They didn't even bother with that this time. The people earning under $51,000 lose out. They will actively see their resources and their income decline because of the various benefit cuts in this bill. If you make over 51,000, I think you get a very, very marginal cut. And then if you make over, a couple 100,000 or a couple million, it's massive. So those moderates are going to lose their jobs. And I think that's baked in. Republican leadership already knew they would probably lose the House next year. And obviously the House Freedom Caucus mostly represents safe red districts. They could not care less. So it is really on these frontliner moderates who essentially just sign their own, death warrant it's not a great phrase, but that's what they just did. Yeah. Political death warrant where, I don't know how they're going to go defend this to their voters, but I'll be very curious to see.
And one last thing, just in closing, I want to tip our caps to our colleagues in North Carolina. They did a live event this week, and that one was focused primarily on the cuts and how they impact veterans and their health. If I, as I was reading into it correctly, again, just a nice way to show, not nice, you know what I mean, to show local impact of some devastating decisions.
Yeah, absolutely. Our team on the ground there had an event on, I believe it was Tuesday, went really well. They focused on, what cuts to the VA could do to veterans, what already some of these cuts that DOJ and Trump have done are doing. And, we had a lot of really kind of devastating testimony that, people will see sort of go up on our social pages over the next couple of weeks. But, all these cuts, a lot of veterans are on Medicaid, like thousands, hundreds of thousands of veterans rely on Medicaid because, the VA doesn't necessarily cover every single person who's ever served. And so a lot of veterans with disabilities are on Medicaid, and it is going to cost some of them their coverage. And that is appalling. I don't think anyone should lose their healthcare coverage, but if you've gone overseas and served and come back with PTSD or physical injuries, or, you were near burn pits, and now you suddenly have to go prove you deserve this health coverage, or you lose it without getting the chance to check in. That's awful and like really, deeply, profoundly troubling. And, the people who voted for this should be ashamed. And, we're going to cover the impacts of that in North Carolina, just like we are in all of our states. And we heard little bits about that on Tuesday about, what cuts to Medicaid will mean. And they're going to be devastating.
They were the impact. It will no longer be fear mongering. It will be the actual pain that people are feeling as a result of the vote that was taken this week. Keya, Vakil, Courier Newsroom. Thank you so much. Have a good weekend.
You too, Pat. Thank you.
Today's history lesson is next, as we always do, mornings up north here on the Civic Media Radio Network. I know what some of you are thinking out there. You're thinking, wait, we're in a radio commercial break, but is he telling us right now the keyword that we need to text in to win Brewers tickets? Yeah. You guys get first crack at it. If you text the keyword radio to us through the Civic Media app, we will draw one entry statewide from among all the Civic Media stations and shows out there, and you can win 4 tickets to next Tuesday's game versus the Boston Red Sox. Great seats, great game against the Sox. Complete rules at civicmedia.us. Are we your favorites? Alicia, it's a secret show, all our own. Of course you are. Look at that. Marion West Dallas, first one in. Thank you. Doesn't mean you're going to win. It's got to be at random, but still, yay you. I don't care what you say. I am a strain. I am here. I'm all in on rock music with a trumpet section. I know, was it Dire Straits that said, that it ain't rock music if it's coming from any trumpet playing band, I believe was the words. Wrong. Ides of March peaked at number 2 this day in 1970 with Vakil. The number 1 song that week was American Woman by the Guess Who. But now I have to add the standard disclaimer over time where I've always loved the song, going back to when I was, 5 years old and heard the song. And eventually you kind of pay attention to the lyrics and you're going, oh, there's a bit of an ick factor to that.
Oh, now I'm going to look them up.
I'm the friendly stranger in the black sedan. I'll take you anywhere you want to go. I got...
Oh.
Yeah.
Well, he's friendly.
Yes, I got pictures. I got candy. I'm a lovable man. I can take you to the nearest stuff.
Come on.
See, when you first hear it, you think he's flirting with somebody that he knows, but then you go friendly stranger in the black sedan. Okay, not
Great God in heaven, my goodness.
You know I love you. Let's move on.
And just let you like that stuff. Then I will send you an old band that I was in, 8-piece band with horns. So
nice
rock band.
All right. I'm going to take a break here in today's history lesson to tell you that it's Friday. And as promised earlier in the week, we're giving you a chance to win Brewers tickets on most Fridays throughout the summer. They are tickets to specific games. It's a 4-pack of tickets. But if you can go to that game and you text us the keyword and we pick yours randomly from all the statewide entries across the Civic Media stations, right now the keyword is radio. You use that Civic Media app. You text us radio. And one entry drawn statewide is going to earn 4 tickets to next Tuesday's game versus the Boston Red Sox. Complete rules at civicmedia.us, and I'll rattle off more of the rules when we do this again in our next hour, right after Brittany Merlot's weekend forecast. All right, back to the history lesson here. The Everly Brothers started a 5-week run at the top of the charts with this song on this day in 1960.
Don't want your love anymore.
This, of course, would be Kathy's Clown. And again, nothing against the Everly Brothers, but you kind of understand a little bit more why the Beatles were so big when they came out a couple of years later. On this day in 2006, the Chicks released their 7th album, Taking the Long Way. A lot of folks thought the Dixie Chicks, now the Chicks, had kind of faded away. They had not. This was a very award-winning album, especially with this single.
Sorry, the wrong button. There we go. Here we go.
I'm not ready to make nice. I'm not ready to back
you sent me an acoustic like live studio version.
Did I? Okay.
And yeah, you did. But my point is that this sounds like it was off the album. It is so good. Like their vocal. I love this group so much.
I do too. I mean, they're so good, so much talent, so much just crazy partisan persecution, which was a topic for another day. But I'm glad they came back with this album and that single. On this day in 2007, Jordan Sparks won season 6 of American Idol. Let's see. Jewel, the singer, is 51 years old today.
I hear the clock at 6 a.m.
I got a whole bunch of birthdays for you coming up in just a minute, but one more musical note. It was on this day in 1969 that The Who released their 4th album. It was a rock opera about a deaf, dumb, and blind kid by the name of Tommy. Okay, here are the birthdays. Joan Collins. Remember Joan Collins from Dynasty? 92
Parker?
years old. No, I was not talking to Parker on that one. No. Joan Collins, 92 years old today. And Drew Carey is 67 years old today. Have I asked Greg any inside on meeting Drew Carey in your comedy circles?
I've never met Drew Carey, but what I understand, he is a spectacular example of a human being. During the writer's strike, there was a restaurant close. He would pick up the tab every day for all of their lunches. He's just a good human being. He loves people and he loves just being good. I love him so much.
That's great. Well, happy birthday to him, 67 years old today. There are a lot of birthdays over this holiday weekend, so I thought I would go through all of those right now. Stop me at any point if you want to talk about them. Bob Dylan tomorrow turns 84 years old today, which reminds me of all the vacation stories that I told this week. I failed to mention that on the flight over to Portugal, I finally sat and watched in the airplane A Complete Unknown, the movie about Bob Dylan. Did either of you get to see it yet?
I haven't. No.
I have not. I want to watch it. I'm probably gonna some Sunday when I got time. But yeah, it's I've heard it's very good.
It's very good. I'm not going to give it all the Oscars or anything like that, but happy birthday to Bob Dylan, or as Tony reminds us from up north, Bob Zimmerman, Robert Allen Zimmerman, turning 84 years old tomorrow. Tommy Chong turns 87 tomorrow. So when kids tell you, oh, drugs will cut your life short, Tommy Chong has an alternate point of view on that.
Yeah.
Patti LaBelle is 81 years old tomorrow. Priscilla Presley turns 80 tomorrow. Roseanne Cash turns 70 years old tomorrow. Not much on the Sunday list, but let's get to Monday, Memorial Day. Stevie Nicks turns 77. Lenny Kravitz turns 61 on Monday, which, again, I hasten to add, that makes him the same age as me. He's just like 38 days older. I did not get to be a rock and roll superstar. Lenny Kravitz did. He did something right. And Miss Lauryn Hill turns 50 on Monday. This is National Don't Fry Day. Not grilling, but sunscreen. Don't Fry Day. It's National Taffy Day, and it is World Turtle Day. So much more ahead in the next hour, including Democratic Party chair candidate William Garcia, Kristin Lyerly, and more on the Civic Media Radio Network. Phew. That was a lot of birthdays. Let's get that keyword back up. There we go. Let's get over to what Mr. Santel is working on over here. Let's see. What do we got? Late breaking court stuff. Yes, the Catholic religious school in Oklahoma. Trump can fire some agency officials. Cannot remove the chair of the Federal Reserve. Education Department. Yes. Explaining case without the shadow docket run amok. We have so much here. You should have your own show for this.
You know, somebody should come up with some idea, but no, that wouldn't work. Nobody listened to that, right?
Right. Let's see. Have you met Parker yet?
I have not. No.
Parker
how are
Olson,
you?
Jim Santel.
Good to see you. Good to meet you, even remotely here. The miracles of 21st century technology, right?
Isn't it something? Yep. How's Mark today? Mark's getting all hooked up here right now. There you go. Can you hear us yet, Mark? Oh, he's always got to put his headphones in. That's right. So let's see. Oh, there we go. Oh, Mark, you there? You hearing us?
Yeah, I can hear.
Okay.
I'm here.
Yeah. Yep. No, I know I'm popping you up a little early during the commercial break, but just to say I've teased it a couple of different times, and I just wanted your first reaction to the Sun Times AI generated book list.
Oh yeah, definitely.
So we're definitely hitting that today.
Yeah.
So okay. All right. You guys look good. I'll take you back in the waiting room. See y'all in a little while. How's Brittany today?
Good. How are you?
Good. Big weekend plans?
Yeah, I got the family coming up here, so hosting.
Nice. Okay.
Yeah. How about you?
Hosting. So you're grilling for a dozen people?
Yep, pretty much. Wish me luck.
Okay. I will. Good.
I bet it's gonna be amazing.
It's going to be so good.
Thanks.
All right.
Live across Wisconsin on Civic Media, you're listening to Mornings with Pat Kreitlow, powered by Up North News. Now, from our Lake Wissota studio, here is the founding editor of Up North News, Pat Kreitlow.
Good morning. Happy Friday. We've made it to Memorial Day weekend, 7:06. Nice to have you here up north on this Friday, May 23rd, 2025. Meteorologist Brittany Merlot coming up in just a sec. And your chance to win 4 Brewers tickets to a game next Tuesday by texting us through the Civic Media app. Going to talk to you a bit about that as well. Also, of course, our week in review panel coming up with former U.S. Attorney Jim Santel and a couple of veteran Chicago journalists. So we're going to have to ask about how one Chicago newspaper learned the hard way how not to trust AI fully to write some of your copy. We'll have Dr. Kristin Lyerly here about an hour from now. We'll talk a little bit of health news, guarding against preeclampsia, a condition during pregnancy that can lead to high blood pressure and serious impacts to mother and baby. So we'll ask our favorite OBGYN about that. We'll wrap up our second round of interviews with candidates for state Democratic Party chair with William Garcia joining us as well. So a lot to get to today on a morning that is sunny, but still cool. 7 o'clock temps include 39 here in Chippewa Falls. It's 30 in Hayward, 40 in Amory. Wausau's at 38. It's 40 in Rapids, 44 in La Crosse. Green Bay's at 42. It is Madison's, it is 45 in Madison, where we find Mr. Parker Olson. It's 44 at Radio Park, where we find Mr. Greg Bach. And again, it is back in Wausau, 38 degrees, where Brittany Merlot has this delightfully sunny forecast for our Friday. Ms. Merlot, good morning.
Good morning.
What do you got planned for the weekend?
Oh, I'm actually hosting this weekend. I've got the family and friends coming up. I'm excited. We're going to do some kayaking, and we're also going to do some off-roading with the Jeeps. We're going to go to that park that we have here in Tigerton, so that'll be exciting. Otherwise, grilling.
Funny that you say that about the Jeep. Let me get to Rob. Rob says, good morning from Tigerton. It's sunny and 41. It was 34 degrees at sunrise a couple hours ago. I mowed 6 yards in Tigerton. It was a sweatshirt and hoodie weather. And then he goes on to say that yesterday, while I was mowing at a job near my mechanic Todd's shop, my cousin Donnie's Jeep broke down a block away, and I pulled his Jeep to Todd's shop with my Craftsman lawnmower right in the shop so my riding mower can pull a Jeep. Rob, way to go. Not all heroes wear capes, you know? We talked about Stevie Nicks having a birthday over the weekend here, and you talked about having a childhood crush on Stevie Nicks way back when. And he says, I hope my favorite morning show crew has a great Memorial Day weekend and take time to honor our really true heroes who gave their lives to protect us, protect our rights and our freedoms. I couldn't say it better myself, Rob. Thank you very much for that. So there you go. If you have any problems with the Jeep, you call Rob. He'll come out there with that that Craftsman, and he'll take care of you.
Rob, I'm in Kenosha. Come pick me up, buddy.
Kenosha might be a stretch, but then again, given that Craftsman, it just might. So back to the sunshine, but the cool temperatures that we've got for all those activities.
Yeah, so if that's the worst that we have to deal with is crisp, cooler mornings with frost advisories going out up north, I think that's not too terrible. We've got a gorgeous weekend here for the holiday weekend. Beautiful sunshine, a few scattered clouds out there, especially hanging out by Lake Michigan this morning. But otherwise, temperatures, sure, they're crisp. That frost advisory expires at 9 a.m. And then today, we are going to rise to those 60s, low 60s, far west, even into the north. You're going to see some 60-degree temperatures, and then some mid-50s off to the east as well. So we'll get another frosty night tonight. Possibly again tomorrow night, but then those temperatures warm up and we are looking at summer conditions returning by next week. But for this weekend, we've got nothing but sunshine today, tomorrow, Sunday, Monday. Looks like the rain chances are going to be holding off until late Monday. They don't really widespread push in until Tuesday now. So this is fantastic weather for the weekend. I'm usually used to forecasting some storms to dampen plans.
Yes,
but
cold
nothing
weather.
like that.
Yep.
Right?
No,
Storms to dampen plans. That is amazing turn of phrase.
yes. I shortened it more with God hates campers. It always feels that way on some of these holiday weekends. It's like, why again? Why on these holiday weekends? It's like, is that the only explanation? It's a little chilly yet for a pontoon ride, but the pontoon is in.
Woo-hoo.
What are you crying about?
I want now.
I know. Well, then Todd Alba, I'm sure, is thinking the same thing, because Todd Alba initially was going to do his show live from my pontoon somewhere in the middle of Lake Wissota.
Dude, I don't even. What do you're just? Why do you ask for trouble and like poor Aaron Zommers?
But instead, we're going to go with the more stable Wi-Fi connection, and Todd Alba's show today is going to be from Lake Wissota, but out on my back deck. So we've got that with Lake Wissota in the background there. So, Brittany, hope it's a lot of fun for you this weekend, and we'll get an updated forecast in an hour.
Sounds good. You too.
All right. Let's give away some Brewers tickets, or at least we hope to. We've got 4 tickets that are going to be given away across the Civic Media Radio Network, all the shows statewide, and they're all going to text in a keyword using the Civic Media app, and the keyword is radio. So here's what you do. This is only for one particular Brewers game, and we're going to do this every Friday. This week, it's next Tuesday's game versus the Boston Red Sox. 4 tickets. So one entry picked at random from those folks who use the Civic Media app and text us the keyword radio. Be sure you do that. Be sure that radio is the only thing in the text, RADIO. Nothing else that's in there. And be sure as well that you opt into texts from Civic Media as part of it, because then you can get other chances to win as well for things like, signing up for newsletters and things like that. The full contest rules are at civicmedia.us/contest-terms. Go to Civic Media US. You'll be able to find it. Tickets cannot be swapped for different days. And again, for next Tuesday's game, you can be a winner by texting radio to us there. Let's see. Also online here, Alicia points out, let's remember it is not a weekend for veterans. It's for those who did not make it home. And I think that's sometimes an important distinction to make. And again, there's no, ill intent involved here, but some folks think it's about all veterans. We have Veterans Day for that. We of course have the 4th of July, but Memorial Day is much more of a sacred thing. Yes, it's a long weekend where we can all have a little bit of fun and relax, but do take time to thank those men and women whose ultimate sacrifice allows us to have the kind of country that we do. Greg Bach is part of Matt Nair on Air, and that's coming up from 9 to 11 these days, right? And yep. Who you got coming on today? Familiar face at 10:06. You're going to recombobulate?
Actually, no. Dan is on vacation today, so there will be no. We'll just be discombobulated until next Friday. And
I feel discombobulated throwing that toss at you. Then, shame
no,
on
that's fine
me.
because we have other guests coming up. It's going to be great. We're going to have a fun day. We're going to have Kyle Chisholm from the Madison Mallards. It's a Northwoods baseball team up at he'll be on the show,
yes,
talking about this upcoming season and specifically what they have in the way of fun theme nights, because independent and minor league baseball does it. I mean, don't get me wrong. Major League Baseball, you're fine at theme nights, but they do it in a way that is just purely like, hey, mom and dad are out of the town for this weekend. We're going to get crazy and weird.
Yep.
So he'll be on at 10:22 today. And then Tyler Moss, who is one of the co-founders and writers at the Milwaukee Record, will be here at 10:30 to talk about everything that's going on, not just this weekend in Milwaukee and the southeastern Wisconsin, but what's happening over the next month or so as we get closer and closer to summer. So that's going to be in our 10 o'clock hour. And then, of course, Pat, what would a day on Matt and Air on Air be without This Shouldn't Be a Thing at 10:50, where we kind of look at a fun news story and ask the question, does this actually need to be? So, yeah. All that coming up at 9 this morning.
Love Northwoods League Baseball, Eau Claire Express. Parker, I'm sure you've been to a game or two from some Northwoods teams.
I'm a camera operator for the Mallards, actually. Yeah.
Are you?
Wow.
Okay. Yeah, I've been to a couple Mallards games. Those are great as well. So, yep, a lot of good stuff coming up for baseball. Also coming up today on the Maggie Dawn Show, Terry Barr will be on to talk about what's good and local and overlooked. And then more Terry Barr. It's Bar Band Friday on Nightlight with Pete Schwaba. And it says here that she'll be introducing Pete and the listeners to a band that started playing together in high school. They've now graduated, but are still together and doing great. They have new music out and earned a spot at the biggest music festival around, Summerfest. So good on them. And that leads me to this online comment, and I can't vouch for this. I shouldn't necessarily be reading things blindly, but just in case, Oz puts, my band is at the Thirsty Badger Saturday night. Come and I'll buy you a beer. My cows and I listen every morning. Thanks. So Oz, wherever the Thirsty Badger is, there's a band playing there. Ask for Oz. He'll buy you a beer.
What's the name of your band? Is it called Wizard of Oz? I mean, that sounds like a fun name for a band.
It probably had some trademark thing. Those lawyers, Santel's listening in. You probably can't do something like that. So we'll ask him about it after the break here. In sports, at Major League Baseball, Kristin Lyerly had 2 home runs as the Brewers beat the Pittsburgh Pirates 8-5 in a game interrupted by rain for nearly 2 hours last night. For Yelich, it was his 11th multi-homer game of his career. Joey Ortiz added his second home run of the season for the Brewers. The series will continue tonight. It's a 4-game series. Game 2 coming up this evening, and you can hear it across some of the stations of the Civic Media Radio Network. Paul Skeens, the Pittsburgh ace, versus Freddie Peralta. Although Paul Skeens is last year he was completely unhittable. Where did this kid come from? And this year he's kind of fallen back to earth a little bit, but so it'll be Paul Skeens versus Freddie Peralta, a true pitcher's duel. Somebody's winning this game 1-0 is probably how this is going to go. 5:05 tonight, so if you love great pitching, and I do, this would be one of those games to expect across the Civic Media Radio Network. The NBA playoffs are going on as well. The only thing we're following is somehow the Minnesota Timberwolves made it to the Western Conference Finals, but they are already down 2-0 against Oklahoma City as that series continues to find out who goes into the NBA Finals. Now, one more thing I wanted to tell you over at upnorthnewswi.com. So many stories there, including my latest on the House Republican budget plan that passed yesterday, and all of the many ways that big, beautiful bill is not so beautiful for Wisconsin, the real impacts there. Also on the website, everything you wanted to know about brats. Yep, it's all about brats as to kick off the Memorial Day weekend as well. So that and much more coverage over at upnorthnewswi.com. Our week in history, this weekend, our Week in Review panel is coming up next. I get so excited to see them sometimes that I get ahead of myself. From the heart of America's up north, live from Lake Wissota. Thanks for making this the place to spend part of your mornings. I'm Pat Kreitlow, and this is the Civic... Greg, what did I just do? What did I do?
You said Civic... Wait, what?
What time is it? I was tossing a minute early.
You got. But hey, guys, let's just get on the pontoon boat and float into the Lake Wissota. we got like more than 50 seconds, Pat. And I also know. There we go. You're good. You're all good, buddy. I thought you said the wrong name of the show, or called me Steve. I'll be like, what are you doing?
No, as I'm tossing, I'm like, I'm not hearing the music come up, and I'm just like, wait a minute. And right here, this is my first big, ever since I made this Post-it note to tell me when the commercial breaks are, I have been practically perfect until now. It's history.
Oh my God.
This segment, also going to the Wisconsin Broadcasters Association. You're welcome. I'd like to thank the Academy. Let me try this again. I'm Pat Kreitlow. This is the Civic Media Radio Network for reals. This Post-it note had been infallible. It's let me down. Yeah, the Post-it note let me down.
Paper let you down.
All right. All right. I see the whole panel there. I'm going to go get some more coffee, and then I'll pop them up. See you in a bit. All right, kids, are we ready?
We're ready. Good
Yeah, we're
morning,
ready.
everybody.
We are
Hello.
ready.
All right, sounds good. We're going to come back in less than 10 seconds. Let's head over to the comment section here. Tony writes on YouTube about Todd Alba doing his show from my back deck this afternoon from 2 to 4 with a guest appearance from Pat, or are you going to lock him out there on the deck? That's a great question, Tony. And I'm not going to answer it for you right now. Let's just see what Todd is like when he gets here. But yeah, Todd Alba doing a show right here from Lake Wissota, 2 to 4 out on the back deck. Maybe we'll get the grill going. In the meantime, as Adam puts on YouTube, Week in Review is the best segment on all of civic media. No kidding. Look at this lineup right here. Former U.S. Attorney Jim Santel and Chicago journalists Jennifer Schulze and Mark Jacob. How are we doing, team?
Excellent. Thank you.
We're doing well.
We missed you for the. I missed everybody for the last couple of weeks.
I know, but Mark, you were traveling as well, and Jim's got a full-time job just trying to track all of the legal cases that are out there. So I think he needed a break. But it's nice to have all of you here, and yes, we do normally start with news coverage of politics and things, but Jim, we'll get back to that in a second. But I've got these two Chicago journalists. I have to start with this one. The Chicago Sun-Times runs a summer reading list and says let's use AI, artificial intelligence, and we've been part of that debate. Every newsroom, I'm sure, has debated how do you use AI. And Mark, let's start with you because it came out and it turned out that most or all of the summer reading book lists were phony, that AI just made stuff up for their summer reading list. Is that right?
Yep, it fills in all the blanks for you, doesn't it, Pat? I mean,
yes.
it definitely will do it. So if you ask it, give us a summer reading list and you don't check it, that's what you get. What you get is real authors, but fake books, which 10 of the 15 books that they recommended don't even exist.
Oh,
and just to be really clear, this was a product of the Hearst Company, which sells it to individual newspapers, this kind of a special section that they can put in their newspapers. The problem was that it didn't say that, and so the Sun-Times kind of took the hit on it. It was also in the Philadelphia Inquirer, by the way, so it's not just a Sun-Times problem, but it certainly is a Sun-Times problem.
Yes.
Because what I used to tell my reporters that when I was an editor is that your product is not ink on paper. It's not even a web page. Your product is your credibility. It's being trustworthy, and it's hard to gain, easy to lose.
Jennifer, did you literally bring one or two hands up to your forehead when you first heard about this, like I think other people did, or at least metaphorically?
So I saw it really early the morning that it was starting to light the internet on fire, and I did everything I could to try to figure out if the posts that I was looking at were actually real, because I could not believe it. But like Mark, I did used to also work at the Chicago Sun-Times, and I know that it and many newspapers across the country still rely on insert content from other providers. And so I know that they've run this summer insert for years, and I believe it's been created by the same by Hearst all those years, and they run others too. Their entire medical health section is content from somebody else. That's not unusual in today's newspaper business. But as soon as people started saying, wait a second, these authors are real, but these books aren't, I just started Googling it myself, and immediately the first one on the list is Isabella Allende, and she did not write this book. But you know what I did when I got home, because I was out when this happened? I put the name of the book into Google, and the exact same description came up on the AI that fuels Google that was in that book. So you've got to ask yourself, and I hope everybody does, what is AI telling you and how much of it is wrong. And for God's sakes, people, scroll down to
Check.
legitimate sources.
Yes, check everything. Tony puts it really well from Ashland. AI could write those books that don't exist, so then they would exist. I guess that's one way to look at it.
Great idea.
But unmonitored AI, he writes, is never a good idea. And it is not just journalism, Jim. I know people are writing, legal papers, decisions reports. They're trying to get Chat GPT to help them. And discovering, as I did, I tried this one time. I thought, let's do the This Day in History thing. And I asked for like celebrity birthdays and number one songs and everything for whatever the date was, May 23rd. Everything on the list was wrong. It was completely made up, which tells you have to know the parameters you're putting in to something with AI. Because if you don't, Jim, I mean, this is only the beginning of AI nightmares for the legal profession as well.
It is, and not that there's great sympathy for lawyers out there who make the same mistakes that the Chicago and Philadelphia papers are making. But there are more than a few of them who've gotten in great trouble for citing cases in written briefs submitted to courts on substantive issues, real litigation. And it turns out that Santel versus Kreitlow, and in particular appeals court in Wisconsin, never happened. And they cited for particular propositions of law. The judges and the law clerks look at it and say, this is not real. And the lawyers get in big trouble. Basically, it's a violation of your oath. It's no small deal.
No, and look, it's not going anywhere, AI. And so like every other new tool, Mark, I don't think it's a matter of banning it, whether it's teachers, law professors, editors, whatever. But if this is going to be around, you got to get it right.
Yeah, you just need to know how to use it. It's to me, it's comparable to what I used to tell reporters about in Wikipedia, which is what I said is great place to start, terrible place to finish.
There you go.
That if you look at it for the references or to get a general idea of something, fine, then go do your reporting.
Yep.
But if you're going to take it, as gospel, you're going to be in big trouble. And AI is the same way. I mean, I've suggested that people use it for outlines for stories, or if they don't know much about a subject and they just want a general description, get that. But check everything out. I mean, it makes mistakes.
That's right. We're just getting started with our week in review panel. Also coming up yet, Kristin Lyerly, William Garcia, another check-in with the forecast from meteorologist Brittany Merlot. And you can win tickets to next Tuesday's Brewers game. We're picking one entry statewide. Text the keyword radio on the Civic Media app. More coming up after this on the Civic Media Radio Network. There we go. All right, we're in break here, 5-minute break. And boy, we had so much fun with that one. Now we got a longer list for this segment, but we'll
Pat, and again, I know Greg's seen this before. This is my, not Stickies, but this is my Civic Media reference for the changing times. Greg has looked at me already and shaken his head and said, Santel, what are you doing? This is my gospel when I'm on the air.
That's your clock. Yours is a little bigger than mine, a little more unwieldy.
I mean, I would never say, Jim, to change the Bible for you. I would just say maybe add another introduction page with, stuff that's readable, legible, whatever you want to call it. But I looked at that and I went, can you read that? And he's like, yeah. I'm like, okay.
What is this? I think I firmly scared Greg. So it's not easily done.
I'll say one thing during the break here on AI, and I'll probably get in trouble if any of my Courier bosses hear this, but there's been all this focus on, coding things, for example, SEO, search engine optimization, putting the right keywords in, putting, the right codes in, putting all of this in. And then there's this talk about AI, like maybe writing or helping write some of the stories. And I just remember I raised my hand one day, like the bad kid in class, and said, why don't we do the writing? And why doesn't AI look at what we wrote and figure out what are the right SEO keywords? And why aren't they doing, the scut work, essentially, not the creative work?
When you write your descriptions for your podcast, or when I write descriptions for other show podcasts, there's an SEO in there, and it will give you a smiley face or a sad face. Yes. I'm like, oh, that doesn't feel awful when you're like, yeah, your writing sucks.
The computer gives you this frowny face because you didn't put enough SEO keywords in there. I'm like, well, you do it then.
Yeah.
If suggest something for us. Anyway, all right. There's our AI chat. We'll get to the news stuff after this little break. We'll be back. Checking out some of the texts you're sending in here from Tom in New Berlin. Pat, tomorrow going to place flags at Woods Memorial, honoring our lost heroes at the cemetery there. Thank you, Tom, for doing that. And please represent all of us well as we take a moment to honor those whose sacrifice gave us the freedoms that we still enjoy to this day and must continue to defend, I would add. From Carmela in Milwaukee asking, Pat, what time is the giveaway Brewers game on Tuesday? I should have said that. It is an evening game. 6:40 will be the Brewers versus the Red Sox next Tuesday. And so today's keyword is radio. And folks on this show and across the Civic Media Radio Network, people who use the Civic Media app, text in radio. One of those entries will get 4 free tickets to next Tuesday evening's game versus the Boston Red Sox. Meanwhile, the Brewers tonight are in Pittsburgh. Game 2 of that series. Coverage starts at 5:05 tonight. Continuing on now with our panel, Mark Jacob, Jim Santel, Jennifer Schulze. Jennifer?
Yes?
Let's not spend a lot of time on this one, but let's make it said that the so-called crypto dinner that President Trump had last night, where he hosted all these people who quite literally put money in his pocket and his family's pocket buying his phony crypto coins, even though corruption is done right out in the open, this still may be, from a dollar value, the most corrupt night in American politics. Yes or no?
Yes.
Okay.
And let's guess maybe a quarter of the country knows about it, and maybe even fewer care. I wish that news organizations, somebody somewhere, would have like a ticker where they are keeping track of all of these payoffs and the money that he's collecting while he's president. It seems to me every day I read about somebody writing him a check. And last night was the check of all checks. It's just incredibly, it's mind-boggling. I'm speechless.
So Mark, why was American media this week not talking about that nonstop? And why are we talking instead about a book about Joe Biden's health for a guy who's currently, last I checked, not the president of the United States?
Why are we talking about last year's story instead of the gigantic, 5-alarm fire that's going on right in front of us? Good question, Pat. I have no idea. I think that some people view crypto as a little hard to understand. But I mean, this is just bribery is not hard to understand.
Right.
I mean, a real good example of in the crypto dinner he had last night was this one Chinese-born crypto mogul who he was being investigated by the Securities and Exchange Commission, and his case got put on hold in February, which means it's not canceled, but it's not going forward. He gave a ton of money to Trump to attend this dinner, which means could bribery be any more clear what's going? I mean, it's just appalling, and people need to understand it, and the media need to help them.
Right, but instead he continues to get away not just with the corruption, but with the illegal activities in office, Jim, which there have been just a flurry of rulings on that and court hearings. And I mean, could you have possibly picked a better time to have a weekend radio show about legal matters than what you've got right now? What are this week's include who the president can fire, not fire, whether you can get rid of the Department of Education, on and on it goes this week alone.
It is truly breathtaking, and it is difficult. I know all of us suffer from the same problem when you do any broadcast, which is the cutting room floor. And on a regular basis, as we put our broadcast together, you identify 17 things, and you think each one of these is shocking and stunning and needs to be talked about, and you simply don't have enough time, much less breath, to talk about all of them. We've got, again, just this past week, they fall under the category of things that federal district court judges are doing. Yes, indeed, we've got a judge who stopped the Trump administration from dismantling the education department. It's a district judge out of Massachusetts, and likewise says that the record reveals that the defendant's true intention is to dismantle the Department of Education without statutory authority. In other words, Congress said you can't do this, and yet we're doing it. That's one, Pat, of so many of them that we have seen recently. And each one of them affects human beings. That's the point of this. Affects residents and citizens of our nation. They're all critically important. And we simply don't have enough time in anyone's 24 hours to keep up with all of it.
No, but again, it's important to try, because what we need are courts that consistently say to a president when they cross a certain line, you can't do that, whether it's deporting people without due process, or in the case of Harvard now saying Harvard can no longer accept international students. Yeah, they can. You can't do that as president, but of course it gums up the works until you can get a court to say otherwise. There was also a ruling with the Supreme Court, an interesting 4-4 split decision, that the gist of it is that Oklahoma cannot receive or give state funding to a Catholic religious virtual school. Again, a case of you can't do that, but folks noticed that conservative Justice Amy Coney Barrett recused herself from that case.
Right. And she made that decision. Good for her. Take note, Clarence Thomas and Sam Alito, that there are those circumstances where maybe for an appearance of impropriety reason, you shouldn't be deciding these cases because you've got some affiliation with the parties. Here she has some affiliation with some of the litigants in front of her, maybe based upon her time at Notre Dame, advisor to the school, that sort of thing. Good for her to do that, but it does result in this 4-4 split. And what that means is, in the end, the lower court decision, which said, no, if you're a religious charter school, you can't get government funds. This is basic separation of church and state. Congress will make no law establishing a religion, nor can the states. So it's an affirmation, just by virtue of the default here, that the Constitution means something. The side story in all this is, who is the other person? Again, this is another one of these unsigned orders The speculation is, it's mine as well, that it may have been the Chief Justice, which would be stunning because he has been leading this effort to try to basically erase the separation between church and state, talking about discrimination against religion as opposed to entanglements of government and religion. The upshot is that this case, again, for today is over, and we've got a strong affirmation of that separation, but it's going to come back in one shape or another, maybe in a term or two. We're not done with religious issues before the Supreme Court.
Let's switch gears, Mark, and talk about Health and Human Services Secretary Robert Kennedy Jr. and this alleged examination into chronic diseases. And again, we have a sense of the quackery that he is going to try to put out. So let's look at it through the prism of whether American media simply regurgitates it, plays stenographer, or gives it a more critical eye.
Yeah, the initial New York Times headline on this was, Trump and RFK Jr. talk about the sickest generation in American history, that the kids are all sick today and all this. And I thought, well, really? Is that based on anything? And I went back and looked at child mortality rates, and in 1800, 46% of children didn't make it to their 5th birthday. It was 23 or 24% in 1900. It's under 1% now. So what is he talking about? This is one of those things where, it sounds good. And the interesting thing is the New York Times rewrote their headline eventually. They finally came up with the realization that this sickest generation in American history thing was just not true. And so finally, the New York Times decided not to put it in the headline, which is, a real problem where, the Trump people say something and the media just kind of go ahead and just swallow it whole and regurgitate it.
Well, and Jennifer, same to you, the critical eye that let's bring it to the local media level as well, that it used to be, frankly, if a president or a Health and Human Services secretary said something, you could pretty well provide attribution and say, HHS secretary says such and such, but you really can't do that 1 degree of reporting anymore. You really have to put a filter on it.
Well,
and say, is what
right.
it's what they're saying true?
Right. And you'd think that everybody would get that this is an issue. Come on. We're in the second Trump administration. We know how much he lies, but I am still astounded, like Mark was yesterday with that New York Times headline, how frequently it still happens that there is no fact checking and context in these headlines, and they just immediately splash out Trump says, Kennedy says, and it would take you 30 seconds to know that what they're saying is not true. You could write that in your headline. Why is that not the automatic reaction to any of this news coverage? I do not understand. Is it because they're trying to do it so fast? I don't think so. But I don't know why. It's terrible. Whatever the reason, it's terrible.
Well, there's a lot of I don't know if laziness is the right idea or the right word, not just for reporting, but Mark, also for politicians. You have a Republican Party that has always talked about they're deficit hawks. It's all about fiscal discipline. And the thing that they passed yesterday morning, the $1 trillion in cuts, but we want to give away so much in tax relief, we're going to add $3 to $4 trillion to the deficit. Where is the howling other than from maybe 2 or 3 members of the House and 2 or 3 members of the Senate? They're throwing 40 years of Republican orthodoxy out the window.
Yeah, that's the thing. For decades you've heard, tax and spend Democrats. Well, these are spend Republicans. They don't tax rich people. But they're happy to spend the money that they didn't take in. And in the first Trump administration, this was him boasting about having the best economy ever and all that crap. And it was a fairly decent economy for the first part of his term. Yet they still ran a gigantic deficit. A quarter of the public debt was created by Trump in the first term, and now they're doing it some more. And when is the public and when will the media just throw away the notion that the Republican Party wants to balance the budget? They obviously don't. They don't care about that. They just care about rewarding their rich donors, really, and sticking it to the poor.
Right. And that, that gets us into messaging that Democrats have to do. And that's fine. That's their battle. But I would like to at least see reporters, and newsrooms making sure that there's this distinction between the rhetoric and the reality. Time for one last thing. And Jim, I'll come to you on it. This latest Supreme Court case on the schools and others is continuing a troubling trend of coming through something called the shadow docket rather than the traditional way of issuing opinions. What is it and why is it concerning?
It's a huge problem. It's a challenge for Americans who now have a Supreme Court that at breakneck speed is issuing decisions about major issues, and they're not giving you the reasons why. And it's a part of this shadow docket. Yes, it's the emergency docket. The notion is it's begun principally in Trump 1. It's always been out there, but really revved up. This notion that we can't possibly live another day with an unfavorable ruling at the lower level. Step in, Supreme Court, overturn that, tell them they're wrong, and we can get on with our lives. And when you do that, you lose all of the debate, you lose the oral argument, you lose the lawyers, and the American public loses because you don't know why a major branch of government is making decisions without clarity and without transparency.
All right, you can get more of that on Amicus, a Law Review, live Saturday mornings, 9 to 11 on civic media stations around Wisconsin. Head to civicmedia.us to learn more. Mark Jacobs' newsletters at stopthepresses.news, and Jennifer Schulze's Indistinct Chatter is at Substack. Look up at News Jennifer for that. Panel, it's so great to be back. You guys make it so fun. I actually wanted to come back from vacation for you guys. I mean, to a point.
Right.
Thank you. We'll see you next week.
Have a good weekend, everybody.
All right, Dan Schumacher is going to look at sports after this. We'll be back.
Take care. Have a good Memorial Day.
All right. Thank you, James. You too.
Good.
Bye, Jim. Take care, buddy. Good to see you.
We'll see you again. And this is going to go in the Smithsonian one day. Just want to let you know. It's right here, right now.
That piece of paper right now, Jim, saved democracy.
That's what I'm saying. And I'm glad at least the two of us recognize that, right?
Yeah.
Oh, man.
Gentlemen, all right, have a good day. Take care.
Take it easy, sir.
All righty. How's your connection there?
Can you hear me?
I hear you. Can't see you, but I can hear you.
Really?
Yeah.
Really? Oh, no. There he is. No. Still can't see you.
Yeah, I don't know what's going on here with my camera and stuff. I just had my computer wiped out because I bought it from the school. So I'm going to come back in with my phone.
All right.
Okay. 40 seconds.
There you are. All right, here we go. All right, welcome back. It's Friday morning. It's May 23rd. It's Memorial Day weekend, and one of my favorite places to spend a holiday weekend like this would be heading upriver, up the Chippewa here to the Mallard Resort, where we tend to spend our time at the little pub there, but there's also some cabins there as well. And that's where we find one Dan Schumacher, who's joining us to talk a little bit about sports. The man's kind of living the dream right there, up there on the Mallard. Any other big plans for the weekend, sir?
I got a flat tire.
Okay. You got a flat tire?
Flat tire.
All right, well, that's a plan. On the truck or what?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Got off the phone with Martell Township. Well, I got a slow leak. I must have a nail on the tire. So what a way to start off the weekend.
Well, better now than in the middle of it. And you're going to Martell there in downtown Chippewa, which is, my favorite tire shop and take care of me for 30 years there.
Right.
So yeah, but take care of that. And then if you've got the boat in, right, on the river? Is your boat in?
I don't have my boat in yet, but I plan on putting it in by tomorrow.
Okay. All right. So, see, look at this, guys. Full of weekend plans here.
Got chores to do for a weekend,
Okay.
So
well, you know what?
We can talk about our first place Cubs, right?
Our first place Cubs? No. Oh, geez, that's.
Dan, we can't. Dan,
yeah,
we can't hear you.
There
You're
seems
fading
to be a
out there.
problem here. Yeah. Tony in Ashland says Fat Tire is a good beer. No, Tony, we're talking about Flat Tire. I don't think there's a brew for that. Oh, look at that. Dan's headed outside to the lovely Mallard Resort there, where he's hanging out. So your Cubs are in first place. Meanwhile, for the Brewers, Kristin Lyerly had his 11th multi-homer game of his career, homered twice to help the Brewers beat the Pirates 8-5 in a game interrupted by rain for nearly 2 hours last night. Joey Ortiz also had a home run, his second of the season. And the series continues with the game in Pittsburgh tonight with Pittsburgh ace Paul Skeens taking on Milwaukee ace Freddie Peralta. 5:05 is when the pregame begins on Civic Media radio stations across the state. So we've got that coming up. What do you know what your Cubs are doing this weekend?
I don't know who they're playing, but I know we're up by 3 games over the Cardinals, and we're 5. And you Brewers are 5.5 back. So
okay.
Yep. Thank you for that. We appreciate the reminder. Thank you.
Look, you got to get these things in when you can, obviously. Yeah. So the Cubs are there now. And look, Greg, you were the one who said when Craig Counsell went over, don't underestimate Craig Counsell.
I absolutely said that. I stand by it, and that's great. But, at least they're still beating the Cardinals. I mean, we all get together and be happy that the Cardinals are being denied any sort of happiness right now.
We can agree on that, Dan, right?
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
Okay.
Hey,
so
Greg,
that going.
Greg, did you see the announcement on August 1st, 2nd, and 3rd with the Grateful Dead going to play Golden State Park?
Yeah, unfortunately, I can't afford the $6,500 it costs to see that show. Billy Strings, Trey Anastasio Band, the Grateful Dead, and some other group I can't think of right now, but it's for the total package that includes everything. It's $6,500.
So I got word that it was going to happen beforehand. Okay, before they made the announcements. So I already booked a hotel for $107 a night.
Wow.
Park. I know that the tickets are going to cost something, so I can't buy tickets yet. But I at least got my housing, and then I booked a flight for $200 round trip.
Wow.
It's amazing.
4 hours later, they made the announcement. My hotel shot, even though I got it in at 107, it went to $365 a night, and the flights just doubled.
Yep.
Oh, wow. See, it's good to have a little inside info there. That's a fan. That's fandom right there. Oh, by the way, Dan, I don't think you've met Parker Olson yet. Parker's joining the show family as well for helping to produce the show. And Parker, when Dan joins us, it's ostensibly to talk about sports. Somehow it always wanders into Grateful Dead, which I don't know nearly. I just simply listen to them for this period every week and learn about your musical forefathers or something like that. So when is this trip?
August 1st, 2nd, and 3rd.
Okay. All right. Just
And
so I
then
make.
they portray it like because they celebrate 60 years. Okay.
Yeah.
60 years as a band. 60 years ago, they used to give, along with Jefferson Airplane and some of the other older, bands in the 60s, they used to play concerts for free at the Golden Park. So they're trying to replicate that, but without the free.
They charge a little bit more than they do. Well, it's like earlier in the week, we played the Rolling Stones from 60 years ago this week. They were on Shindig, and we played a clip from that. And I ask repeatedly on the show, and I say it again, who are we going to be talking about in, not 60 years from now, but 20, 30 years from now, and say, I cannot believe they're still performing together the way that they are. Or will they be? Will bands simply not have the staying power that the ones do from, the 60s and 70s?
We're celebrating the 60th anniversary of Weezer. All right.
Hey, when you look at it, I mean, Bob Dylan and Willie Nelson are still performing on a tour.
Yeah. Yep. Bob Dylan has a birthday tomorrow. Turns 84 tomorrow.
Yeah. I mean, music must have been very, very good to them.
You can say that again. Yep. Hey, before I forget again, for this hour, one more reminder, text the keyword radio to us through the Civic Media app. We will draw one entry statewide to win 4 tickets to next Tuesday evening's game versus the Boston Red Sox. Get the complete rules at civicmedia.us. Dan, we've got Todd Alba doing a show from my back deck from 2 to 4. So feel free to come on by for that. Otherwise, I will come looking for you upriver a little bit later on.
That sounds good. Hey, can I just make one statement?
Yeah.
So Friday, the Northland College closes. So It's been pretty sad. Graduation is this weekend. My contract ended and whatnot. So all the people, people in Ashland, the community, the alumni, the students, the faculty, the staff, it's really tough. And I just, I appreciated my time and getting to know Ashland, Wisconsin. It was a good adventure, 2-year adventure, and
good people. Yep. Dan, thank you for that. And again, I'll get you beer for a little later on here. So take care. Have a good start to the weekend. Greg Bach is back for Matt and Aaron on Air in 1 hour, and I'll be back right after the news on the Civic Media Radio Network.
Sorry we had to do that, Dan. We just had up against that hard break.
That's okay. I didn't know I would have fed him that a little bit earlier. Had he been there, but that is okay. An old friend is back. Hello, old friend.
Young at heart friend is here.
Our young at heart friend is here. She's muted, but then she's.
You're muted. She's muted. We can't hear Dr. Lyerly. There she is.
My kids wish I had a mute button.
We do not. So there.
What do they know? They're children. Yeah. All
right.
They can't even vote. Well, Abe can vote, and the other one can vote. And
Luke, if that's you, you're hiding behind the logo. You got to come out a little bit.
It looks like Pat's waving to us right now.
It looks like I'm waving in the corner of the screen here.
All right, everybody. Wow, look at this. It's just so many people. All right, I'm gonna extract myself from the situation here. You all have yourselves a great weekend. And if you all need anything, please let me know. Oh, and also, Pat, just if hour 3 is different in any other way that doesn't jive with the podcast notes, just let me know and I'll fix them.
Okay. Sounds like a deal.
Have a good
weekend.
Morning and weekend. Have a wonderful long weekend. And is the entire entourage coming in at 9? No one can replace me.
Well, they were, but now they just logged off. Now they're gone again.
It takes like 5 of them to equal one full me. And I'm not talking about in personality or talent, I'm just talking about sheer tonnage. So there you go. Bye, everybody.
Bye.
I assume the show at the 8 o'clock hour is being done through your studio there, Parker, right?
Yeah, I've got it.
Okay. Parker, have you met Kristin?
No. Hi, Kristin. I'm Parker.
Hey, Parker. Nice to meet you.
Oh, and there's Luke too. He's here. So
he's here.
He just kind of pops into the screen now and then, gives a little wave. So, how have you been?
Me?
Yeah, you've been busy.
Super busy.
Yeah. Are you going to get to relax at all this weekend?
I have very few plans this weekend.
Good.
Yeah, I cut the grass yesterday and it was like my favorite thing ever. It was hay. It was like it had gone to seed. And
no.
Well, because it was long when I got home from my travels, but then it rained. I didn't have a chance to cut it, and then
Yes.
it rained,
I know. Yep.
and
Yep. It gets so bad.
turns out I am my dad when it comes to the grass, and I don't mind. I like it.
No, it's a good thing. I know. Very peaceful. Okay, so I mentioned it was like World Preeclampsia Day the other day. Well, today is International Day to End Obstetric Fistula. So we got a twofer today.
Oh.
Yes. We're totally nerding out in OBGYN world today.
Boy, how do you, can I talk about fistulas in the morning? Is it too early?
No. These are important health notes here. So
Okay. Yeah. I mean, it's never too early for me, but
yeah. No. We'll definitely get to it during this segment here.
great. Let's talk about Medicaid too. Can we do that?
I will, but I also know you sent me one other note, and I haven't had time to go back and look at it. Were you either in the news for another court case or something? I feel like I'm missing something that you sent me, and I don't want to miss.
Was it a press release?
It might have been.
Yeah, it was. We did a press conference yesterday. It was supposed to be about RFK's first 100 days, but it ended up being about Medicaid because of the budget, of course. But it was a big deal. It was the 314 Action put it on. They're an organization that works with scientists who run for and hold political office.
Okay.
So the governor of Hawaii was on, John Hickenlooper, senator from Colorado, Matt Klein, who's a state senator in Minnesota running for Congress in the second. It was a great press conference. And interestingly, when it was over, the Bloomberg opinion person who was on was like, tell me more about rural hospitals. What's going on? So they might launch out and do a whole thing on rural hospitals and how these Medicaid cuts are problematic.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So that's why we do this. Like, raise attention. People need to know half of all rural hospitals are in danger of shutting down. Half. One half.
God. All right. Let's see. You got 90 seconds. So I'm going to go quickly get some more coffee. I'll be back.
Okay. Parker, are you a Badger, or do you just like wearing Badger things?
I am from Madison. I just graduated from UW Whitewater last week.
Oh, hey, congratulations. Are you from Madison or surrounding area Madison?
Madison. I went to LaFollette High School.
Oh, very cool. That's awesome. My kids were born in Madison and they went to Oregon, but then we moved to Green Bay.
Nice. Okay.
Yeah.
There we go. We got the full squad now.
Yay.
There. Okay.
Hi, Kristin.
Hi, Brittany. How are you?
Pretty good. How are you?
Good. I woke up and saw sunshine this morning, and the first thing I thought of was Brittany Merlot. That's right.
Wow.
Yay. I'm bouncing off the wall. So excited.
2 rays of sunshine here. All right. Here we go. 10 seconds.
Sunshine in stereo.
Live across Wisconsin on Civic Media, you're listening to Mornings with Pat Kreitlow, powered by Up North News. Now, from our Lake Wissota studio, here is the founding editor of Up North News, Pat Kreitlow.
Hey, good morning. Happy Friday. Happy Memorial Day weekend. Everybody travel safe. Take a moment to remember the real reason behind the weekend. Enjoy your family and friends. Eat too many brats. And tune in this afternoon to the Todd Alba Show, live from my back deck here on Lake Wissota. What could possibly go wrong? It's going to be a good time from 2 to 4 today. A lot coming up here. We're going to continue our series of interviews with the 3 candidates for state Democratic Party chair. We had Devin Remiker on Wednesday, Joe Zepecki yesterday, William Garcia on in our next half hour to get one more round of conversations with them to ask why Democratic Party members in county parties all across the state, when they gather in Wisconsin Dells next month, should pick them to succeed Ben Wickler, who's stepping down as a state Democratic Party chair. And of course, it's Friday, so we've got Dr. Kristin Lyerly here too. So we'll talk about things in the news, health-wise, and a couple of important health notes, especially dealing with pregnancy. So we have the official OBGYN of the show here to talk to us all about that. First, the official meteorologist for the show is here to talk about the sunshine. And Kristin, you said the nicest thing about Brittany when you first woke up this morning.
It was just the truth. I woke up and I looked out the window and there was beautiful, bright sunshine coming in. And the first thing I thought was Brittany Merlot.
How great is that? It's like having these two little rays of sunshine here.
Well, she also gets it when it's raining too. So, I mean, it's both sides.
So you got to give it to her that way. And again, we're all acknowledging it certainly could be warmer, but if it's going to be, cool and sunny versus normal temperatures and rainy, I think we know where most of us are going to come down on that, Brittany.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. 100%. I mean, we can deal with the frost advisories far up north, probably still again tonight, and then Saturday night before those stop. And I think our temperatures are going to warm up enough to where frost is no longer a concern. So yeah, battling a crisp morning for a ton of sunshine, I'll take the trade. We do have warmer temperatures on tap by next weekend. But for this weekend, we're just going to sit here nice and comfortable, bright and beautiful, calm winds, and no rain in the forecast until Tuesday. Maybe places far northwest could see some rain trying to move in late Monday night. But otherwise, we're looking at sunshine on repeat, temperatures slowly getting more mild. We'll be in those mid-50s far east by Lake Michigan and far north today to about the low 60s far west. And then tomorrow, we're going to put that on repeat. Then by Sunday, Monday, we're looking at mid to upper 60s, a few 70s across the state, and we're going to hold that into next week. And like I said, getting even warmer after that. But I'll take the dry conditions, comfortable conditions, and a good long weekend. I'm excited.
I like that. Nice, comfortable, breezy, and beautiful sunshine on repeat.
Yes.
Let's just put that forecast on repeat. That would work out really well. Yeah.
So you mentioned 10 degrees.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Add that. That would be a good part. You mentioned that you're going to have a family that you're hosting this weekend. Are you going to be doing some grilling for that?
Oh, yes. We're definitely going to be grilling. We're going to be having a campfire, too. That fire danger is finally low across the state, so you can do that without worry. So we're going to cook some meals on the fire. Oh, we love doing that kind of stuff. What else? Probably doing some kayaking. Not swimming. A little too cold for that.
Yeah, well.
But, of course, exploring the great outdoors. What about you guys?
Having just come off vacation, we're going to take it really easy. We're still kind of catching up on the jet lag, going to bed a little earlier than we normally would, trying to get that body clock back on track here. So a lot around the house, because there's been so much to jump into back here. I haven't really fully unpacked yet. There's still a suitcase, seriously? And we did the laundry, but then there's so much laundry to put away. You don't even want to know what the closet looks like right now. So, but there's going to be some grilling. There's going to be a little fire pit going, and the pontoon's in. So maybe we'll just put on a hoodie and go for a little jaunt that way. Kristin, how about you? You going to be doing big plans or relaxing things?
Well, after that, I think I'm going to come to Lake Wissota and bring a pack of brats. And
hey,
when should I be there?
Todd's show starts at 2, so as soon as you can get in the car, the better.
All right, I gotta go. I'm kidding.
Good. No,
Kristin, pick me up. Let's go.
Okay, let's do it.
I'm liking it. The more the merrier. And Parker, you said you are calling a baseball game.
Yeah, calling super regionals at UW Whitewater tomorrow, and then I think possibly doing some of my aunt and uncles on Memorial Day. Yeah.
Super regionals? What is that?
Super regionals, yeah. Okay. They changed the format a couple of years ago, so now super regional, if you win that, you go to the final 8, which is the College World Series.
Oh, okay.
Wow.
Gotcha. All right.
This is a big deal.
Yes,
oh, yeah. They're like number 3 in the country, so we're hopeful. Yeah.
Wow.
Okay. Let's see. Robin Tigerton coming down. I forgot to mention I have a new job for the Village of Tigerton, watering plants along Main Street. So that's great. And he wants to second the notion that Kristin and Brittany are sunshine even on the dark and dreary days. Thank you, Rob, for that. Always appreciate the comments. And Brittany, you have a wonderful weekend, and we'll see you on Tuesday.
Thanks. You too.
All right. Take it easy. Hey, you can always get our newsletter over at upnorthnewswi.com. We have our daily newsletter. We have our new Sunday morning newsletter that I write with a look at the week in Wisconsin politics. And there's a sports newsletter that Kristin Lyerly is putting together once a month. And I was looking at her social media posts this week, and they include a note about another hike in ticket prices if you want to see UW women's volleyball. But well, yeah, that's costing more money. It is also a reflection of the success of the program and also the whole name, image licensing thing where college athletes are, getting paid now. So a general admission season ticket that cost $60 back in 2021 and $150 last year will now be $225 in the new season. So again, another chunk of change, but to see a team that is one of the very best in the country. So for more sports stories like that from Kristin Lyerly, sign up for that newsletter as well over at upnorthnewswi.com. Kristin, I want to talk to you in a bit about, RFK Jr. and the terrible impact on American health that it portends. But there were two notes on the calendar, kind of these national awareness days. And I thought it was a good opportunity to talk about pregnancy and women's health. And so we're going to cover both of them. I think it was Wednesday was World Preeclampsia Day, which deals with high blood pressure. And then today happens to be International Day to End Obstetric Fistula. And that one says here it's an international day to spread awareness about a childbirth-related injury that affects women primarily in poor economic regions. Medically, it's described as a hole in the birth canal that occurs due to prolonged labor without medical intervention and other factors during childbirth. The United Nations Population Fund says obstetric fistula is one of the most severe and tragic injuries that can occur during childbirth. I was not as aware of that as I was preeclampsia. And again, it's not to scare people, but I feel like we always have to remind people pregnancy is not the easiest thing for people, and it does not always have the Norman Rockwell kind of outcome.
No, I think we tend to have this very sunny idea of what pregnancy is. It's joyful, there's a baby involved, and in many cases that is true, but there are lots of things that can go wrong. Preeclampsia is actually fairly common in the United States. It's almost always associated with a blood pressure issue. It's a blood vessel issue. So it can present in lots of different ways. There can be vision changes. It can be a terrible headache. It can be a liver problem or problems with your kidneys. But regardless, we tend to see this toward the end of pregnancy, and the cure is to deliver the baby. Because once the baby is out, people tend to get better. Having said that, though, people can develop preeclampsia after the baby is out because of pregnancy-related and hormonal changes. So this is one of the reasons why we need care for our moms in the postpartum period. Women can die of preeclampsia, of high blood pressure issues in the postpartum period. This is complex. It is probably the most studied condition associated with pregnancy, and we haven't figured it out yet. I don't think there's one thing that causes it, but this is the reason why towards the end of your pregnancy, we have you come back so often to check your blood pressure, and we're so careful about asking about headaches and weird symptoms, because it is fairly common, especially in this country.
Yeah. So between that and the obstetric fistula, it again, I can't underscore enough being married to an OBGYN as well. Don't skip those appointments. I mean, now for Sherry, she'll say, well, when they have a no-show, I've got extra time to dictate my charts. I mean, there's that. But you'd much rather have that person in and continue to be monitored or to get prenatal care at all. There's still a troubling number of people who come in and say, yeah, I've been pregnant for the past, 38 weeks. I couldn't afford to come in or whatever until now. It still happens.
Right. I couldn't get that. People have so many barriers to care, which is why we need to reduce the number of barriers. And actually, the American College of Obstetricians and Gynecologists is changing the way that we deliver prenatal care right now. And for a very long time, it's been come in every month until you get to the middle of your pregnancy. And then it's every 2 weeks. And then it's every week after that. Well, now we're starting to look at things like telehealth, and what is your general health? What are your risk factors? How often do you actually need to come in? Can we send you home with a blood pressure cuff so you can check your blood pressure at home? So we've really reimagined how we deliver prenatal care so that it works for our patients and removes barriers, especially in a time when people are really struggling to get access to health care in places like rural areas.
And again, it underscores the notion of why you need that Medicaid expansion for increased coverage for women postpartum instead of 60 days to 1 year. And 48 states have done it, just us in Arkansas. And in both cases, you've got Republicans in those states that are blocking it. Not all Republicans. In Wisconsin's case, it's one Republican. Assembly Speaker Robin Vos is stopping that measure from coming up for a vote, which would pass overwhelmingly if it did. And we say that again because you really can't pester your legislator enough nicely to say, get this bill passed, get the speaker to put it up for a vote.
Yeah, and to be honest, in Arkansas, they at least did some things. They didn't pass postpartum extension, but they did some things to make it easier for moms to get care. And in Wisconsin, we've done nothing. In fact, we're making it harder for them to get birth control. We're making it harder for them to get abortion care. We're making it harder for women to get postpartum care. And let's talk about child care. We're making it impossible for people to get child care. At no point in the spectrum of getting pregnant, having a baby, or taking care of your children are Republicans making it easy for us.
No. And that, again, it's incredible to think that that caucus, which, has women in it and all the women that they represent, that they still stand in the way of women's health in this way. But that is exactly what they're doing. So that's why we continue talking about expanding Medicaid coverage, that it isn't just some kind of, welfare handout, that this is good public policy that, again, is happening everywhere else but here. So, Kristin, thank you for telling us more about that. I want to tell folks before we get to the break that you can win Milwaukee Brewers tickets. It's Friday. We're going to be doing this most Fridays throughout the season. Text a keyword. Each Friday we'll give you one that you text in using the Civic Media app. And then one entry is drawn statewide to win 4 tickets to a specific game. In this case, it's next Tuesday's game against the Boston Red Sox. 4 tickets to next Tuesday's game if you text the word radio using the Civic Media app, radio, R-A-D-I-O. If you do that, you will be in the running for potentially winning 4 tickets to next Tuesday's game. The Brewers were winners 8-5 in Pittsburgh last night, and they will do it again this evening. Pre-game coverage starts at 5:05 on several Civic Media radio stations. Then they'll play Pittsburgh again Saturday and Sunday. Still ahead this hour, William Garcia, candidate for state Democratic Party chair. From the heart of America's up north, live from Lake Wissota, thanks for making this the place to spend part of your mornings on the Civic Media Radio Network. I'm Pat Kreitlow.
I'm so glad you described fistula, because when I describe it as poop or pee coming out of your vagina.
Yeah, I can't. I'm going to go with mine, which was actually somebody else's description, but yeah. Yep.
I try to make it, understandable.
Happy
like,
Friday.
what?
Welcome to the Secret Show, everybody.
These things happen, though. Like people will come in and be like, I don't know, there's this liquid coming out of my vagina. It just smells. And, they feel bad about it and they're worried about it. And they should be. It's fixable, but it's just so embarrassing and humiliating, and they don't understand what's happening. And it doesn't happen all that often in this country, but it does happen in places where babies get stuck in the birth canal.
Yeah, absolutely. Alicia notes I had preeclampsia with my oldest and had to be induced because of it. So, I mean, this is something that's very common. From Chandelier, no one supports breastfeeding more as a breastfeeding mother. I could feed in public due to trauma and feeling like I was a pinup for other fanatics. So I think she's getting at, along with everything else in pregnancy, there's the whole, stigma still of breastfeeding in some cases that, again, we need to get over in this country.
It's true.
All right. Let's see. We are back in just over 60 seconds here. So I was going to start with RFK. And anything else you want to touch on before we wrap things up? Okay. What are your boys
Medicaid,
up to?
of course.
Yep.
What are my boys up to? I just picked one up. He just came back from Japan. Picked him up last night at the airport.
Really?
Yeah, he had such a good time.
Oh, that's so great.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
Yeah, he went for a friend's wedding. He did an exchange program there last year, and one of his friends got
Okay.
married, so they had a little reunion.
Hey, are you back in Hibbing next week, next Friday?
Nope.
Any interest in guest hosting?
Let me look at my calendar.
Okay. You might be up to things. I'm going to be making a whirlwind trip out to Idaho for the 18-year-old grandson graduates high school next Friday.
That's so great.
I know.
You got to do those things.
Oh, yeah. Yep. I'm very excited about that. All right, 15 seconds. Here we go.
Look what I have. I've got my green journal.
State Democratic Party Chair candidate William Garcia joins us in just about 15 minutes here on these mornings across the Civic Media Radio Network. Dr. Kristin Lyerly is here now in that's the Green Bay Packer shirt, I assume, a green shirt.
No.
Oh, no?
Green Bay Bicycle Collective.
Oh, okay. Gotcha. Yeah. And then you've got your green thumb because you had your mulch, and now you've got your green journal that every OBGYN gets out, your Green Bay Packer mug. You're just all green. All green.
Yeah.
The journal that we were talking about pregnancy and health and everything, and there's more stuff than anybody could possibly take in, but you try to take in what you can. The Journal of the American Medical Association, the Obstetrics and Gynecology Journal that you were holding up right now. There's no shortage of, peer review cases that you have to do. There is so much behind the scenes, not just going to med school, but everything beyond that, which is why I think when you hear us with a certain tone in our voice, that just some politician can come in and say, I know what's best, why it really gets under the skin of doctors and patients and allies and everybody like that. And it just, again, doesn't make sense that any politician who often does not represent a majority of their constituents, because so many people don't vote, it gets to you sometimes, Kristin. And
yeah,
I'm glad to have you here to bounce it off of.
Thanks. It gets to me. I mean, RFK, I don't know if you saw his testimony with Susan Collins where he was doing all this finger pointing. He was testifying in the Senate and he was blaming her for all the years of the American culture that where they perpetuated bad things for our health. And I was thinking, buddy, you were in the Senate too as all this stuff was happening. And yeah, we have issues in this country. There is no question. We need cleaner water. We need safer food. We need better environments for our health. Our health is holistic, but his perspective on vaccines and his approach to the measles outbreak, I think, has been really scary. And again, I'm waiting for that to come barreling down on us as we see more and more measles cases popping up in a state like Wisconsin where we are so profoundly under-vaccinated. But it's not just that, it's whooping cough. We're seeing record numbers of whooping cough as that's on the rise. There are so many things that we're just at the beginning stages of because he's not serious about our public health. And I'm incredibly concerned. Science, medicine, we've got to stay up with that. As physicians, we've got continuing education we've got to know what's happening in the world because things are always changing. But that is not something that RFK is on top of. And again, he doesn't have the health and well-being of the public in mind.
No, and when he says that he's going to put out these recommendations about chronic disease and the health of the food supply, there is just no level of credibility or trust there to say that it will be anything other than something that will continue to set back food safety and good nutrition and, promote a lot of quackery, quite frankly, all in the name of fighting things that he's just speaking. How do I say this properly on the radio? Out one's tush, shall we say, about the way that this goes. And again, these are generational things. It takes a long time to build something. It takes much less time to tear it down. A culture of getting vaccinated against disease, getting off of oil and coal. Immigrant labor. I mean, we're going to face a generation here of, a worker shortage as a result. The war on education, this latest thing against Harvard and saying you can't take in international students. those international students we were already in danger of not getting them anyway because they're worried that they're going to get murdered, because of our gun culture here. Now with the political culture, we're going to continue to see international students go away. That was frankly, Kristin, our only hope for getting doctors in rural areas, was continuing to educate and train students from overseas who wanted to come to the U.S., who now don't think so strongly about coming to the U.S.
We have a profound lack of physicians and qualified providers, even PAs and nurse practitioners, to work in rural areas. It's not going to get any better. And then when you look at these Medicaid cuts and the impact that will have on rural hospitals, half of rural hospitals across the country right now are living hand to mouth. They are not making ends meet, and they depend on Medicaid. So when Medicaid funds start to go away, they aren't going to be able to keep their doors open. And that means that people who live in those areas where I've worked in places where the hospital is the biggest employer. People go there for lunch. They go to visit their friends in the long-term care facility, and that is like the hub of the community. If that hospital goes away, that town dies. The economy withers, and then where do people go? So the impact of the decision that was made yesterday and what happens after that could be absolutely profound, especially in our rural communities where they're already struggling.
What is coming up this weekend on the Dr. Kristin Lyerly Show?
Oh, Pat, I'm so excited. We're talking about childcare. So I've got Mayor Ryan Sorensen from Sheboygan. We've got Mike Close, one of the alders, Leah Hibble. She's on the school board there. And Angel Berry. She runs a daycare center that does beautiful work in Sheboygan. We talk about childcare counts, what it's going to mean for them, both from a provider perspective and a parent perspective, and actually from an economic perspective across the city of Sheboygan. It's an awesome episode. Strongly encourage that you tune in. WGBW WISS, 3 o'clock tomorrow and Sunday, and on the Civic Media app.
That's right. Got to use that app, that same app where you can text in radio right now for your chance to win Brewers tickets. 4 tickets to next Tuesday's game. Go to civicmedia.us to learn more about the rules. I was flying back from Portugal on Monday. Next Monday is Memorial Day, a holiday. So having you here today, it finally feels complete. Like I'm back home now. I'm back into all my usual routines, all my friends that I'm reconnecting with. So thank you for making a little time here before what I hope is a really relaxing weekend.
I hear you saying that I complete you.
You most certainly do, my friend. Thank you. Thank you. Have a wonderful weekend, and we'll talk next Friday then.
Sounds great.
Unless, of course, you show up here, in the next few hours.
I mean, I
what
got
a great
room
way
in
to
my
wrap
car.
up. Yeah,
I got brats in the fridge. Let's go.
Todd Alba and I would be ready. I'll take the boat out just for that. See you later.
See ya.
All right. Coming up next, William Garcia will talk about his race for state Democratic Party chair. Thanks again for joining us here live from Lake Wissota on the Civic Media Radio Network. I'm Pat Kreitlow. We are going to have to work on that tune there, Parker, and a couple of others that kind of fade out a little too soon. I was playing with that one in particular yesterday, and doing a manual fade out just as the song starts fading out, so that it doesn't fade out so faintly that you can't even make it out. So I'm going to work on that. So, all right. So we'll see you in a few hours then, right?
Luke says noted.
Luke says noted. Okay, good. Thank you, Luke.
Mm-hmm.
So anyway, next Friday, the offer's there if you want to do a little fill in. Otherwise, I'll check in with Chad or Todd about that as well. But always happy to give you an opportunity for a little weekday extra time if you're up for it.
Thank you. I appreciate it. By the way, my show this weekend is so good that when we finished taping, Todd Michaels was like, that was so good. I'm submitting it for an award.
Perfect. It's good. The first of several I'm sure you're going to be collecting.
Aww.
No, really. We're very lucky to have you. Yay. Have a fun day.
You too. Have a great weekend.
Okay, bye. Hey, William, it's Pat Kreitlow. Hey, I just realized you were probably working off an old link, so I just emailed you the correct link for the show.
Oh, great.
So we'll be seeing you soon. All right, thanks. Bye. Welcome back on this Friday morning, May 23rd, 2025. This is Up North. This is what was once called Up North News Radio. See, this is what Jane Matinair does, is all this time that I have been saying that the thing that used to be called Twitter, and now need to call this the thing that used to be called Up North News Radio. We are hoping to hear from William Garcia, candidate for state party chair, in just a sec. I had to email him the correct link. We changed links when we moved to a 3-hour radio show here. Otherwise, like all of our other guests, they'll sometimes give us a call at 855-75-CIVIC, 855-752-4842. And we talk to guests over the phone that way as well sometimes when that's what has to happen. But that's okay, because it gives me a moment to tell you that you can text the keyword radio to us using the Civic Media app. We have stations and shows all across the state that on Fridays during the Brewers season are going to be giving away 4 packs of Brewers tickets to specific upcoming games. And so you have to listen to this show, to Matinair on Air, to Tom Hartman, to Todd Alba, to Maggie Dawn, all the usual suspects. And if you do that, then you can get that keyword, which today is radio, text it to us through the Civic Media app. We pick one randomly, and it's 4 tickets, in this case, to next Tuesday evening's game versus the Boston Red Sox. Get the complete rules over at civicmedia.us. All right, with that business out of the way, let's talk and check in now with William Garcia, candidate for state Democratic Party chair, who joins us from, I'm sure, beautiful La Crosse County, I'm guessing, William?
Absolutely.
Hey, good morning.
It's gorgeous.
Thank you for being here. Always appreciate it. How goes the run? Again, 3 candidates in the race. This is our second time through talking to all the candidates. We've come through the congressional district Democratic Party conventions, all the county party meetings you've had to go to. What's your view of how things are going so far?
Well, I think things are going great. I've had an amazing time going to all of the county, going to all the CD conventions, talking to people about what I want to do with the party, where I think the party needs to go, and I'm hearing a lot of support. In fact, I'm actually really proud that both of the other candidates have kind of altered their platform somewhat to be a little more aligned with mine, because of what I've been saying and how much it's how people are responding to it in terms of the need to strengthen and grow county parties. That's now a part of kind of everyone's pitch. And I'm really happy for that. And I'm going to continue going forward and talking about the need to focus on our local county parties, on our other local organizations in order to grow and build them, because that is how we're going to bring in support for 2026.
I'm not in any way, shape, or form taking credit for what you're just saying there about county parties, only to say that I, like you, have been part of a chorus for the past, I don't know how many years, talking about the need for the state Democratic Party in this case. And again, the Republican Party has its own infrastructure debates like this, but that the state party needs to both listen. It works both ways. Listen to the people in those local county parties and also provide them with the resources they need rather than top-down management of the party. And so when you tell me that, you're saying that and that you're hearing that from the other candidates as well, I think that only bodes well writ large for not just the entire Wisconsin Democratic Party, but for, voters who aren't just in the big Democratic strongholds.
Yeah. And that's the way that we are going to flip the assembly seats that we need to flip in order to get a majority in 2026. The way that we're going to get the Senate seats and retain the governorship is by decreasing the margin of Republican support in smaller counties and rural areas. This is the path to victory. And that path goes directly through county party organizations. County parties need to be trusted that they know best how to organize in their neighborhood and how to talk to people in their county. We need to start treating county party officials like the experts they are in their neighborhoods. And that is really the basis behind my campaign. I'm the only candidate who has worked as a county party chair. I'm the only candidate who's a CD chair. I'm the only candidate who's coming from this system. And that means I'm really the only chair that knows exactly what the problems are with the kind of top-down DPW organization as it is right now and how to fix them.
Let's talk as well about the development this week. We had Devin Remaker on Wednesday, who had just received the endorsement from outgoing chair Ben Wickler. Joe Zepecki reacted to it yesterday. So let me ask your reaction as well to Ben Wickler deciding to make an endorsement in this race and doing so for Devin Remaker.
Sure. I was kind of expecting it, to be honest. I think Ben and Devin have worked closely for many, many years, and I think that's great. The problem is that this lack of focus on the county parties is a problem that we've had for many, many years. And so, as like I said, I really like Devin, but I am the person who's genuinely going to focus on county parties and maintaining and growing them because I have experienced the problems that we're having over the last 6 years. And I'm the one that can really come in and fix them. I think Ben, and rightly so, Ben and Devin should be extraordinarily proud of the growth and the progress and the strength of the Wisconsin Democratic Party. I'm proud of it as well. But what needs to be fixed in this current moment is this refocusing on county parties and other local organizations like our caucuses, like our Young Democrat chapters. And I am the person that can maintain everything that Devin and Ben have built while also fixing this one key issue.
It is an important thing about this race that we've all noticed is that obviously there are a lot of good things to say about Ben Wickler's tenure and certainly record, but that it wasn't perfect, that the party is not perfect. So how do you both acknowledge what's good, but also, shine a light on what it is that needs to be changed? Go ahead, Willem.
Oh, I was just also going to say, I want to remind everyone that the Wisconsin Democrats are on the forefront in the country in terms of the strength of their party. The Wisconsin Democrats are stronger and more active than just about any Democratic Party in the country. And what that means is that we're often the first to do things. We are the vanguard. We are out in front on everything. And sometimes that means that we make mistakes because we don't have any examples to pull from. And so in this wonderful growth that Ben Wickler and Devin have built, we have left the county parties behind a little bit. And that's the thing that needs to be addressed right now.
I have to ask you about a hypothetical that may not come to be, but is going to be very important for the next chair if it does. And that deals with Governor Tony Evers, who has not made a decision yet on running for a third term. If he does not, the easiest guess to make that I'm about to make here is that much like in 2018, when he first ran, it was him and more than a dozen other Democrats running for governor. If Tony Evers decides not to run for a third term, there will almost certainly again be upwards of a dozen people running. Not the worst problem to have, having a deep bench of talent. But I mean, it's almost a logistical nightmare trying to be fair. There's county chairs who are going to want to endorse somebody, but maybe they shouldn't, either because of county rules or state rules. I mean, let's face it, whether you get elected or not, if you stay active in the party, that is a bit of a minefield that Democrats have to be looking at if the governor decides not to run for re-election.
Well, and honestly, it's a minefield that I've experienced already, because here in the 3rd Congressional District, we have had strong, robust primaries with multiple candidates the last 3 cycles. So we are, I am experienced with working on that. My preference is always, and in fact, what I will be arguing and mandating as chair is that the state party should be providing resources and the infrastructure that helps every one of the candidates who wants to run for governor speak directly to voters without preference towards any one of them. I do not want a party that puts its finger on the scale in terms of trying to decide before the voter gets to decide who's going to be who's going to win that primary. It's up to the voters. That kind of primary, it motivates our base. It brings out the best vision for the moment, and that's what a lot of primaries are. Primaries are not about which candidate do I, really love or whatever. It's about because they're all great. It's about who is presenting.
We're talking to William Garcia. He's a candidate for state Democratic Party chair. That decision will be made in Wisconsin Dells the middle of next month at the state Democratic Party convention, where, as the party announced yesterday, Georgia Senator Raphael Warnock will be the keynote speaker on the first night of the convention. And I'm sure, William, you agree that that's a pretty good get for a party that is plenty motivated, but wouldn't mind hearing from Senator Warnock as well.
That it's a wonderful get. I've been lucky enough to hear Senator Warnock speak in the past. He's an incredible speaker. Makes me a little, excited as well, because that means I'll actually be sharing a stage with Senator Raphael Warnock, because all 3 of the candidates also give small speeches that night in support for their campaigns. So I'll get to present with Senator Warnock.
The big news this week in terms of 2026 politics was that appeals court judge Chris Taylor is getting into the race for state Supreme Court. We, of course, have to acknowledge that there may be more candidates. It is very early yet. But if this were to be the field with appeals court judge Taylor versus Justice Rebecca Bradley, from the far right end of the Supreme Court bench, that is I guess all I'm saying is that would be a competitive race, and that's really what you're looking for, is a competitive race against a well-tenured state Supreme Court justice.
A competitive race against also the most extreme conservative candidate on the bench. That's what we need to be thinking about. This race is not going to be the $100 million race that we had last year, because it is not going to flip the ideological makeup of the Supreme Court like the last two Supreme Court elections have done. So it's going to be, and that means that we need to be, again, my plan, focusing on growing and strengthening county parties, because our county party volunteers and our county party officials are going to be vital in getting the message out about Chris Taylor. Because again, the money that poured into Wisconsin the last two Supreme Court cycles will not be replicated because the ideological makeup of the bench is not at stake.
We are talking to William Garcia. He's candidate for state Democratic Party chair. There are 3 candidates in the race, and that decision will be made by delegates at the state Democratic Party convention next month in Wisconsin Dells. And we've been very privileged to be able to go through 2 rounds of interviews with the candidates here so far, and we'll continue to talk about the issues that are important to it. Before we go to break, let me tell you that, again, we have a Brewers tickets giveaway. Text the keyword radio to us via the Civic Media app. There will be 1 entry drawn statewide to win 4 tickets to next Tuesday evening's game against the Boston Red Sox. You can get the complete rules over at civicmedia.us, and we will do this most Fridays throughout the course of the season. We'll pause here. I'm Pat Kreitlow, reminding you that keep that Pledge of Allegiance in mind this weekend. All of it. Liberty and justice for all. This is the Civic Media Radio Network. All right, there we go. Are you good hanging around for a few more minutes?
Oh, absolutely.
All right, sounds good. I'll tuck you back in the waiting room here. It's a 3-minute break, and I'll see you in a bit.
That sounds great.
Next week on the program, well, for Monday, it'll be a holiday, Memorial Day, so we'll have some of our best of segments that we've aired over the past couple of weeks here. On Tuesday, we'll have author Laura Bird, and she will talk to us about upcoming summer reads, some of her recommendations that you might want to take to the beach or wherever you're going this summer, and a bit more about how you can learn about the upcoming new books the way that she does. Dan Schaefer will be here on Tuesday as well. Oh, no, I take that back. Dan Schaefer will be on Wednesday of next week because he's taking an extended weekend. Also on Wednesday, we'll talk to Matt Brusky from Citizen Action, part of a coalition of groups that are going to urge Governor Tony Evers to veto a state budget bill if it does not make adequate investments into education and other important areas. Not just a line item veto. They want him to veto the whole bill and send it back and make the legislature start over if it's not up to certain standards. We'll ask Matt what those standards are and what would trigger that kind of an ask of the governor. And then on Thursday, money and markets news from Sean O'Malley, Melissa Baldoff with our climate check, and much more all throughout next week here on the program across the Civic Media Radio Network. Let's continue our conversation now with William Garcia, candidate for State Democratic Party Chair out of the 3rd Congressional District and La Crosse County. And William, I kind of jumped into the state of the race and everything. And so for folks who might have missed it in the first go-around of interviews, I just want to ask the straight-up why you're running question 101. William Garcia, there are 3 candidates in this race. What makes you the best choice to be State Democratic Party Chair?
I'm running on a 3-word platform: grow, persist, resist. And what that means is grow. I want to focus on growing and strengthening county parties and other local organizations like our Young Democrat groups, our College Democrat groups, as well as our DPW caucuses. I think in the explosive growth of WISDEMs over the last 6 years, these groups have been left behind a bit, and they need a lot more support. Not just financial, but also in terms of infrastructure, communications, digital assistance. There are all sorts of things that county parties and these other local groups need. I especially want to focus on Young Democrats of Wisconsin. Here in the 3rd Congressional District, we have more college students than any other congressional district in the state. And and I've worked very closely with our college Dems to grow and expand their chapters. Here in La Crosse, we also have the only official chapter right now of Young Democrats of Wisconsin. And I want to make sure that we have Young Democrats chapters across the state, because that's how we're going to bring young people in by empowering them and letting them talk about their issues and organize in ways that make sense to them. Persist means we're going to persist doing all the things DPW does wonderfully. The fundraising juggernaut that DPW is, we're going to keep going with that. Keeping a national media focus on Wisconsin, which drives our fundraising as well as motivates our volunteers. And this really strong connection between the governor, the Assembly Democrats, the state Democrats, and DPW. So we're all working closely together to win that trifecta in 2026. And resist means that as chair, I will be the loudest voice in the room against the Trump agenda and Republican policies hurting Wisconsin families. I've been very disappointed in the lackluster response by national Democrats to the existential threat that is Trump. And as chair, I will spend every day calling out Republicans for the harm they're doing us and explaining to people why Democrats have a better way forward.
Let's take a moment then to go from the very highest level, state party chair, down to the local level of the newest members. People hear this, and I'm sure a lot of folks are not active in their local county parties. What does it mean to do that? If people keep hearing us talk about that and go, gosh, maybe I should look into my county. I didn't even know there was. Is there a county party in every county?
There is absolutely a county party in your area. We have county parties in every county. Some are small, but most are very robust, even in smaller counties, even in places that vote overwhelmingly Republican. You have very close to you a Democratic Party that is working closely and working on local issues in local areas. And joining really just means come to a meeting. Every one of our counties have a monthly meeting. And you can just show up. You don't need to be a member to walk in. You can just show up and see what we're doing. And county parties are responsible for organizing these meetings, but they're also responsible for, organizing the door knocking and the phone calling and the postcard writing that we do. They organize town halls and listening sessions. There is so much that these county parties do. And these county parties are really the front line connections with with Wisconsin voters.
And by the way, again, like you said, it takes nothing to drop in and get to learn more about it. Yes, you can become a dues paying member, extremely affordable, all the various levels that are out there. But this is just that one more form of civic engagement that you can choose to do. There's many ways to do it, but I think more folks need to know they've got a county party that they can take part in.
And it is vital. And again, the county parties are truly where all of the amazing organizing happens with WISDMs. It is these conversations that emanate out of the county party that really drive our voter persuasion, our voter engagement, and our voter turnout.
William Garcia, candidate for State Democratic Party chair. It's really great to touch base with you again, William. Safe travels as you continue campaigning on your way to Wisconsin Dells next month, and we'll check in again real soon.
That sounds great. Have a great day, everybody.
All right. Thank you, William, again so very much. William Garcia and Devin Remaker and Joe Zepecki are the three candidates who are running for state party chair to succeed Ben Wickler. All right. Coming up next, we've got Matt and Air on Air. Jane and Greg will be along right after the news here. And then after Tom Hartman, you'll have, Todd Alba. And no lie, Todd Alba doing the show from right over here on the back deck overlooking Lake Wissota. We thought about doing a pontoon show. And it's not to say we might try a pontoon ride afterwards, but I think we're going to be nice to our engineering team and just have a nice stable signal from the back deck. So 2 to 4 today, the Todd Alba Show. My thanks to today's guests, William Garcia, Kristin Lyerly, Keya Vakil, Jennifer Scholze, Mark Jacob, Jim Santel, and of course to you for being here this morning. I'm Pat Kreitlow. I'm the founding editor of Up North News. That's part of Courier Newsroom, a pro-democracy newsroom, building a more informed, engaged, and representative America. You can follow us on social media and sign up for our newsletter. Head to upnorthnewswi.com. Have a great weekend. I'll see you Tuesday morning here up north. There we go. All right. We are clear. William, thanks again.
Hey, thanks so much. Have a great day. I'll talk to you soon.
All right. See you now. Bye. All right, Parker, everything good? Questions, comments? Luke, questions, comments, feedback?
You got any notes for me?
I do not. No. I just want to know if you have any. You asked Luke all the questions about buttons and switches, but in terms of logistics or how the show goes, I think the one thing I would note is here, I can pop this up here, and I could also end the live stream so that folks can get